Next here on Weather Underground, special extended coverage of Hurricane Laura and the concern now increasing for the Gulf Coast tonight. Laura likely to intensify into a major hurricane with extreme wind and water extending well inland. Welcome in, everyone. We have you covered here tonight with you until 9 o'clock Eastern time as we track Hurricane Laura across the Gulf. I'm Mike Bettis, joined in studio tonight with Alex Wilson. Chris Warren bringing us live reports from Houston, where he's breaking down Laura's impacts.
Yeah, I want to get you started with a look at what we know right now. Mandatory evacuations underway for the Texas cities of Beaumont and Galveston. In the Houston metro, voluntary evacuations have been issued for zones A and B. And in Louisiana, the National Guard is mobilizing nearly 100 high water vehicles for potential rescues. Now we've got the newest advisory in on Category 1 Hurricane Laura. Micah, still expected to intensify over the Gulf.
Indeed it is, and I think we're going to see that at each and every point along the way, all the way up until landfall. Unfortunately, we have 80-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane right now, pressure sitting at 990 millibars, a west-northwest movement at 17 miles per hour now, 480 miles to the southeast of Lake Charles, Louisiana. So the distance between here and here, folks, about 480 miles. We're anticipating a landfall late tomorrow and into Thursday. This is the prime location that we are concerned about, highlighted in purple in particular, where we have hurricane warnings in effect. Yes, that does include parts of the Houston metro, but over toward Port Arthur and Beaumont, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Cameron, Louisiana, and look where we've got issues all the way inland to Lufkin, Texas, into Alexandria, Louisiana as well. And then tropical storm watches that extend all the way up into Shreveport and Tyler now. And then we have tropical storm warnings in effect that will include the rest of Houston metro, then over toward Grand Isle, Lafayette, Louisiana. New Orleans is not included in that right now, but we've got some real estate here, folks, and millions of people that could feel the effects of Hurricane Laura. Let's show you the latest forecast track here, and dead center in the middle of that cone is the state line of Louisiana and Texas. So we're talking here, some river basins that'll be affected. It could include the Sabine River here, Calcasieu here. We've got a lot of low-lying terrain here, so surge is going to be an ongoing concern all the way up through landfall and maybe even beyond as well. Look at the track, though, and the intensity. That coming right ashore here as a Category 3 with 115-mile-per-hour winds. We're building up the water all along the way, too. So right front quadrant hit, which would be in Louisiana, would push a lot of water onshore here and potentially surge that could go tens of miles inland. And so that's what we're so concerned about you there in a place like Lake Charles. But then look at the track after that, coming up through the Mid-South here, then taking a right-hand turn and even affecting potentially the Northeast with some very gusty winds here. But be concerned if there's any interaction with a trough here that we might get an acceleration of those winds as well. So a lot of real estate could be affected here. That's a look at the infrared satellite. Looks like we're trying to form an eye in there, and if we get a strong Category 1, Category 2, it's almost a certainty you'll see an eye form in there. But a lot of convection or thunderstorms are now surrounding the storm, and I think it's doing actually a pretty good job of starting to fend off now any dry air intrusion. You start to see a little bit of that come in there, but in the last couple of frames, it looks like the circulation's really closing off now, and it's really fending off any dry air coming in from the north or northeast side and then back in across the south side here. And I think as time goes on here and this thing really starts to gen up, we'll end up seeing that eye form. Couldn't happen, I think, as soon as, I don't know if we'll see it tonight or not, but I think we'll see it early tomorrow morning, especially with the visible satellite imagery of it, which should give us a great shot. Look at the sea surface temperatures out there. Very toasty water right now. Temperatures running as much as 3 degrees above average, what they'd normally be. So you're talking where the hurricane is now, all the way up through a potential landfall here. We're talking sea surface temperatures that are 85 to 90 degrees, okay? So there's plenty of energy still available for the hurricane here, so I don't think that's an issue whatsoever. We've got a low wind shear environment right now, so strengthening very likely here over the next 24 hours, and significant strengthening at that. Look at where the hurricane models are forecasting here. High-end 2, low-end Category 3 hurricane, and this basically is going to be somewhere between here and here is probably going to be the landfall time, so most of the deterioration, especially here, is all because of land interaction. So you take a look at what's transpiring here, Alex. We kind of had a feeling all this would happen. It's going as planned right now. So I think all the evacuation orders that are in place right now are very wise. The only trick here, how much wobble is there? How much shift left or right is the track?
Could we be looking at more of a place like Houston impacted? Right now, no evacuations in downtown Houston, but Chris Warren, I guess they're telling people if they can to stay off the roads around Houston to let surrounding areas evacuate.
And starting to get a sense here, Alex, that things are ramping up just a little bit. Remember, just yesterday, it was a will it or won't it. And we're still, depending on where you are in Harris County and some of the surrounding counties, it looks like there is going to be some impacts. Wind is going to be the main focus. Flooding is also not as much of a concern, not the historic biblical stuff we've seen in the past, but flash flooding with tropical systems certainly on the table. But it's the wind and preparing for power outages. And preparing for going without power from some time to come. So people going to the big box stores, going to the places to get the equipment they need and the supplies they need to board up if they need to. And it's still on the table, depending on the track of this and the intensity, that evacuations may be needed. So here in Houston, if that was the case, we heard from the mayor, Sylvester Turner, just a little while ago, talking about some of the unique challenges here in Houston.
For seniors and people with disability, we encourage them to call 211, the STEER registry, so we'll know where you are and we can get to you as quickly as possible. So for seniors and people with disabilities, you call 211. For other individuals, for example, you're in that window. It's kind of difficult to evacuate the fourth largest city. There are certain zip codes closer to the coast where we're assessing whether or not there will be a voluntary evacuation. You have areas outside of the city like Galveston, Chambers County, Port Arthur. They have evacuation orders and they should be moving out. So what I'm saying to people in the city of Houston, stay off the roads to allow people from the outlying areas closer to the coast to kind of move in and move through.
And Alex, I spoke with the general manager of a local hotel talking about the influx they're expecting from people that are going to come right out the storm at a big hotel. If you can afford it, certainly an option with a hotel that, Alex, has a generator, you're going to have power and the important air conditioning here in Texas as well. In fact, since COVID, they're expecting the highest amount of occupancy.
Absolutely. A lot of people using that as an option in past situations, and a lot will in this situation as well, especially because you get your own space. We look at Galveston behind me. This is one of the places that we are concerned about, of course, looking at Laura as it makes its way closer to the U.S. Gulf Coast, and surge, of course, something that could affect this as well as other communities. So when we look at that forecast track of where this storm is headed, looking at early Thursday morning for that landfall around the Sabine River there in between Texas and Louisiana. So storm surge warnings posted into East Texas, particularly though on the eastern side. So Lake Charles, areas south of Lafayette, over to Grand Isle. Even storm surge watches you can see over towards a place like Gulfport, Mississippi. So we could see surge effects well away from the center of this storm because this is going to be a large storm. As far as surge numbers, we could be looking at surge values between 9 and 13 feet there in that bright pink color. So we're not just talking about a significant storm surge, but we're talking about dangerous, life-threatening surge. These are the kind of numbers that you need to get away from the coast because of these could be potentially deadly. Now, when we look at Galveston, Texas, the surge scenarios, if the center tracks north of the Galveston area, we're actually going to have offshore winds for the bay. So there would be lower storm surge values. You wouldn't get that push of water onshore. But in Galveston, if you have that area of the center of the storm tracking to the south of Galveston, there you do get the onshore winds for the bay. That means higher storm surge values. So for a place like Galveston, depending on what side of the center of the storm you're on, would determine the effects that you would see. Here's the wave height forecast. These are going to amplify over the Gulf of Mexico in the coming days. You can see some of those 40-plus foot waves approaching the coastal sections of Louisiana and Texas by the time we get into the afternoon hours tomorrow. So rough surf, rip currents, and of course that life-threatening surge will be something that we think is very much going to be a part of Laura's legacy, Mike.
Everything is on the table with this one. We've got to watch every little aspect of it, from water to rain to wind. So let's talk about the wind potential we could see here. And with the forecast of a 115-mile-per-hour Category 3 hurricane, we have 16 different counties or parishes that could see Category 3 winds. And that could go a couple of counties inland as well. Could we see that up in Jasper? It's very possible. Then notice even how far the intense winds of 60 miles per hour go. That could be up toward Shreveport and beyond here, so right up into the Arklatex, and then 40-plus into a Little Rock. I think when you look at this forecast and the angle of approach and how intense it could be, we could certainly be looking at extensive power outages here. Now, the hurricane-force winds of 74 miles per hour, you're taking a look at what the core is. It's not a huge storm, so that's good. You know, it's not necessarily what we saw with like a Rita or an Ike. It's a little bit smaller than that, and to maybe about half the size of an Ike, really. And then notice where the core of the winds goes through Jasper, and then maybe a small core of hurricane-force winds coming up through Shreveport as well. Keep in mind, we've got the Davy Crockett National Forest. We have the Sabine National Forest here, so a lot of trees. In fact, this eastern part of Texas is the most forested part of Texas. There are more trees here than any other part of Texas, really. And then you look at what the wind speed forecast is. Again, a really confined area of the really intense winds. It'll be really around the eye and the eye wall here, but really pushing onshore coming late Wednesday, likely to see hurricane first gusts, and then overnight Wednesday into Thursday, that's when it's making landfall. And Lake Charles, you'll be in a right front quadrant hit for maximized wind, maximized storm surge, maximized rainfall, and unfortunately also potentially one of the worst hits that we see is going to be on that side. We know we have that newest advisory just came in at the top of the hour. The director of the National Hurricane Center, Ken Graham, joining us now from Miami. Ken, appreciate you being with us again tonight. I got to give you some credit here. You've been steadfast with that track here, resisting temptation or any knee-jerk here to move that, even though the models were shifting a bit here. Your thoughts on that track tonight?
Oh, absolutely. And, we see those models go back and forth, and that's why we try to keep steady, because, you start seeing a small influence moving over to the left and sometimes right. Staying steady is usually the best way to go. But anywhere in here, you're still going to see those impacts. I mean, small differences make a difference with the hurricane force winds. But other than that, I mean, the rainfall, the storm surge is going to just extend well outside. And look at the wind field of the tropical storm force winds. I mean, 150 miles out from the center. So if you extend that onward, you're going to see those winds over a great portion of Louisiana.
And you mentioned that alteration, just a few miles one way or the other makes a big difference. Also in terms of the population centers there along the Gulf Coast, we could be looking at much bigger impacts for many more people.
Oh, absolutely. And, something we've talked about before, those little wiggles matter, because if you think about it, looking back over time, sometimes when these get near the coast, I've seen them just briefly slow down a little bit. They can wobble a little bit. You can get some of those wobbles near the coastline. So remember, if you look at that wind field around the center, just a small wiggle or wobble could bring some of that core winds a little closer to the population center. So that's something we got to watch out for. And that's why the readiness part of this is everything.
Certainly we'd be concerned about, the western side of that track when you've got a major metropolitan area like Houston at risk here. Ken, if there were happen to be, some sort of westward shift here, are you concerned about, potentially Houston having to issue mandatory evacuations for areas where then you have maybe hundreds of thousands of people would need to get out of harm's way? Or would you at this point just recommend they hunker down and shelter in place?
I think in this situation, if you look at the storm surge, I mean, that's the big reason we're trying to evacuate. You could get some of those core winds in, and of course, that could be extremely dangerous. But when you're looking at storm surge values here, from anywhere from, you start looking at Galveston Bay 3 to 5 foot, and especially 6 to 9 foot from Bolivar Peninsula, 9 to 13 feet. So what we're really trying to do, that's life-threatening. So a lot of the evacuation is going to be based on that storm surge. That's incredibly dangerous. A life-threatening situation with the surge, and also the flash flooding inland is something we got to watch as we progress through the week.
Ken, a lot of our viewers are concerned with that potential for rapid intensification. Now that this thing is out over the Gulf, how concerned are you of that in the next 24 to 36 hours?
Yeah, there's plenty of room for this to get stronger. And if you think about it, I mean, right now the latest I have is 80 miles an hour. We're getting all that data come in as much as possible. But still, you go from 80 all the way up to a major hurricane. Even if we get to 115 miles an hour, like we're looking at right towards the coast, that's still just an extreme situation. So that's what we're forecasting. We have to plan for that. So that some of those hurricane force winds, and I heard you talking before we got on here. I mean, the forest. I mean, this wind is not just along the coast. We'll see that surge. But as we move northward, even at 1 p.m. on Thursday, we're still a hurricane over East Texas and portions of Louisiana that's very forested. You're going to see many trees down, power outages for prolonged periods of time.
Ken, that's a great point. You can't just pay attention to the coastline. Ken Graham with the National Hurricane Center, thank you so much. I know it is such a busy time. We always appreciate you making time for us. He makes a great point because I think so many times we look at these tropical systems and we go, coast is about 100 miles away from me. I'm not super concerned, but we could be looking at impacts well inland, including the threat of flash flooding. Take a look at the areas to watch tomorrow into early Thursday. Very high likelihood of flash flooding problems through parts of East Texas into the state of Louisiana, including Lake Charles, getting close to Alexandria. You can see up towards Shreveport, though, even into Middle Tennessee, possibility of flash flooding with some very heavy rain that will accompany this storm. Now, Thursday into early Friday, still watching portions of East Texas, northern Louisiana, and Arkansas. This is a part of the country that will get a lot of rainfall, and in anticipation of that, flash flood watches are already posted. Well, coming up, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is going to join us at 5:50 Eastern Time to discuss his state's readiness and the complications surrounding the evacuations and COVID-19.
And Doug.
You know, Limu, after all these years, it's the ones that got away that haunt me the most. Because you're not like everybody else. That's why Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance. So you only pay for what you need.
What?
Oh, I said.
Oh, this is my floor.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Little choices make a big difference, like nutritious fruit smoothies. However you healthy? Naked.
Introducing the ingenious new Upwalker Lite, the safer, more comfortable way to get you up on your feet. From the makers of the award-winning original Upwalker, the Upwalker Lite is now 34% lighter, much easier to maneuver, and features a new lower price.
The Upwalker is revolutionary. A walker has the patient in the hunched over position, whereas when you have the Upwalker, you're able to walk upright because your balance is there.
It takes a lot of pressure off my back and my knees and my ankles. There's a lot less pain, so it makes me want to get out.
My Upwalker Lite allows me to shop, to go to dinner, to see my grandkids. I have freedom again.
Just call or visit upwalkerlite.com. We have new low prices and affordable easy payment plans. The Upwalker Lite comes fully assembled, features adjustable arms, and is now 34% lighter. The Upwalker Lite is easy to turn, so it's perfect for navigating tight spaces indoors and still enjoying more independence outdoors. A clinical study found users of the Upwalker felt safer and more secure, could walk with less pain, and had improved upright posture, resulting in better stamina.
What I hated about my rollator was I was always looking down, but with my Upwalker Lite, I look ahead when I walk, and I feel like I want to go out now.
Call now and get free shipping, plus a free beverage holder, a free backrest, and a free carrying bag. Your Upwalker Lite comes backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee.
With the Upwalker Lite, my kids can sleep at night because I am secure.
Visit upwalkerlite.com or call 800-416-9136. Learn about our easy payment plans. Call 800-416-9136 right now.
When it's especially important to keep skin clean, keep reaching for Cetaphil. Recommended by dermatologists. Awarded by Allure. And most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Today, education has a different purpose. Metropolitan College of New York invites you to explore degrees that will prepare you for the new normal. Learn about programs in emergency and disaster management, community health education, healthcare and human services, IT, business, public affairs, and education. Earn an accelerated master's in just 1 year or a bachelor's in less than 3 years at MCNY's Manhattan or Bronx campus. Apply today at mcny.edu.
Mama.
Why do I keep falling asleep during the day?
What's making me so tired? I kept asking myself these questions. It felt like I was more than tired. Then I was diagnosed with narcolepsy. There are 5 major symptoms. I waited too long to take action, but you don't have to. Visit morethantired.com now. Take the narcolepsy symptom screener and find a sleep specialist to share your results. Don't wait. Visit morethantired.com today.
This is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 88 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early. A few storms may be severe. Low 68. Chance of rain 50%. Wednesday, mainly clear. High 82. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Hurricane season doesn't stop for a pandemic, and neither do we.
Be ready for impacts well beyond the center of the hurricane.
Don't let COVID-19 take your eye off the tropics. This year's threat is more complex and dangerous than ever before.
Remain vigilant, pay close attention to the Weather Channel.
No one can cover this historic hurricane season better than the Weather Channel. Get the information you need to stay safe every day. Storm safety in a pandemic, all season long, right here on the Weather Channel.
Hey, Molly, you ready to roll out? Yeah, you don't care. You have your donut. I know, but Davos, y'all are scared. Moxie, you're just happy to be here. Leia, you're just happy to be here. Trees, don't go to sleep in our house. House, you be safe and be here when we come back. All right, here we go. Hey, Molly, you ready to roll out?
This lady is my absolute favorite, right? And she's doing the right thing, not leaving any animals behind as she follows the mandatory evacuation orders. Here's the good news, guys. I know so many of you are like her and like me. We love our pets. They're our family. Luckily, now there are shelters available that are taking pets because they know that so many of us won't evacuate if we can't take our pets. So if you do have a 4-legged family, check in on that shelter that will accept them so you can get yourself and your pets to safety. And as the Texas coast prepares for Hurricane Laura, 30 miles inland, mandatory evacuations are already underway in the city of Beaumont. The Weather Channel's Dave Malkoff, he's there as people prepare to get out.
The mass evacuation of Beaumont, Texas is underway, an area that has already been recently devastated by Harvey, then Imelda. These folks aren't taking any chances. They're coming here to Westbrook High School so they can get a wristband. They get put into the computer system, wait a few minutes, and then sent on their way.
They say mandatory, time to go.
But I'm from Louisiana. I've sat through many hurricanes, but this time, new place, can't swim.
Well, the biggest concern about being in a shelter with a lot of people is just the kids getting sick. So, I mean, as long as they're maintaining the social distance part and everything, and the hygiene, clean hygiene, I think we'll be okay.
You'll see a red X on every other row here on the charter bus, leaving it half full for social distancing. Every time a bus fills up, they head over to San Antonio, and then when the shelters fill up there, they head on to Austin. In the short period of time we have been here, they've already filled up 3 buses. In Beaumont, Texas, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
All right, we want to talk about city timing impacts because I know you're sitting here living in one of these locations along the Gulf Coast going, what about me? What can I anticipate? Let's start with the Houston area. Now, obviously, the ultimate track of the storm could make some changes to this, but right now, thinking 1 to 2 inches of rainfall for the Houston area. So keep in mind, I know it's the anniversary of Harvey and our guard is already up. This is not going to be Harvey. This is a system that's going to move. So we're not going to be seeing just, astronomical amounts of rain. We will see rain, we will see surge, and we will see wind out of this one. But Beaumont, that's a community that could see a half foot or more when it comes to rainfall. Beaumont, Texas, you've got those wind gusts coming in Wednesday afternoon. Those are the 25+ mile per hour gusts. Things really ramp up Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. So that overnight time frame will be the worst of the wind. That's when the gusts will exceed 50 miles an hour, and your rainfall forecast in that 5 to 8 inch range. So there we could be looking at flash flooding in addition to the surge issues. In a place like Galveston, winds begin to increase Wednesday afternoon, later Wednesday into early Thursday. Also your worst wind gusts. That's when gusts could be 60+ miles per hour. Storm surge of 3 to 5 feet and rainfall 2 to 3 inches there. We look at the wind speed forecast for a place like Houston, and you can see as we get into Wednesday afternoon, the winds begin to pick up, and they could be especially gusty overnight. I think the core, as of right now, the track will stay just off towards the east, closer to places like Beaumont and Galveston. But Mike, so critical when we talk about a place like Houston and that massive metro area. Watch that forecast, because a wiggle of 10, 20 miles could mean a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. 100% it could. And the other thing we're watching is how much strengthening will we see with Hurricane Laura, forecast to be a Category 3 at landfall, and would it rapidly intensify or quickly strengthen and maybe exceed what the forecast is? A lot of times that's what our fear is, right? Well, when you look at the factors, it's recent intensity trend, and it's gone up 20 miles per hour in the last 24 hours. The symmetry of the thunderstorms, which you're starting to get this evening, how much wind shear is there? And if it's weak, that could lead to increased strengthening. Is there deep, warm water ahead? Yes, there is. So a lot of these things are in favor right now of rapid intensification. What that is at least 35 mile per hour wind increase over a 24-hour time span. Now, by 2 p.m. tomorrow, forecast to be 110 miles per hour, and that would put us technically at the very minimum threshold of rapid intensification compared to what we were this afternoon when the winds were at 75. But it's difficult to forecast. We don't always know when a hurricane is going to rapidly intensify, but 1 in 3 storms end up undergoing rapid intensification. Almost all Cat 4s and Cat 5s do it. Well, still to come here on Weather Underground, our live extended coverage continues of Laura, potentially a dangerous and intensifying hurricane on a collision course with the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast. Our teams are out there in the field covering it for you live tonight.
And we've upgraded her with a sonic shield and holographic mapping drones.
Impressive.
There is one more thing.
Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. With the Drive Safe and Save app, you'll save up to 30% for being a safe driver and get a discount just for signing up.
Well played, Jake from State Farm. As usual.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
At SafeLight, we're here for you with safe, convenient service.
We'll come right to you.
You'll get a text when we're on our way.
Before we arrive, just leave your keys on the dash. We'll replace your windshield with safe, no-contact service.
And that service you can trust when you need it the most.
Schedule at SafeLight.com.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
At Domino's, we're delivery experts. So when it comes to carry-out, our team members had a few thoughts on how to make it even safer and more convenient.
Deliver it. Deliver it.
Deliver it. Frisbee it. So we went with what we do best. Delivery to your car. Introducing Domino's Carside Delivery.
Yep, truck's perfect.
We do the carrying out for you, contact-free, while you conveniently stay in your car.
Thank you.
Just pull up at the store, check in online, and we bring your food to you. Try Domino's Carside Delivery next time you carry out 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
At Southern New Hampshire University, we're committed to making college more accessible by making it more affordable. That's why we're keeping our tuition the same through the year 2021.
I knew SNHU was the place for me when I saw how affordable it was. I ran to my husband with my computer and I said, look, we can do this.
Take advantage of some of the lowest online tuition rates in the nation. Find your degree at snhu.edu.
When we started Carvana, they told us that selling cars 100% online wouldn't work. But we went to work, building an experience that lets you shop over 17,000 cars from home, creating a coast-to-coast network to deliver your car as soon as tomorrow, recruiting an army of customer advocates to make your experience incredible and putting you in control of the whole thing with powerful technology. That's why we've become the nation's fastest growing retailer, because our customers love it. See for yourself at Carvana.com.
This is my body of proof.
Proof I can fight moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis.
Proof I can fight psoriatic arthritis. With Humira. Proof of less joint pain.
And clearer skin in PSA.
Humira targets and blocks the source of inflammation that contributes to joint pain and irreversible damage.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Humira is proven to help stop further joint damage.
Want more proof? Ask your rheumatologist about Humira citrate-free.
If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
This Labor Day, crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of a long weekend. Make the most of your Labor Day by picking up Budweiser today.
The most important thing our citizens in this storm's path can do right now is pay attention to their local elected officials, and when asked to leave, to take those safety measures to evacuate. We want to evacuate. We do not want to have to rescue.
Because it is so large, we're going to be in for a life-threatening surge.
This is going to be more of a wind event.
Hurricane Laura now is poised to strike the U.S. as a major hurricane. Time to prepare for landfall running out. I'm Alex Wilson.
I'm Mike Bettis. We have special round-the-clock coverage for you as we track every angle of this forecast, which could be devastating to portions of the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast. And by the way, if you cannot watch us on TV, maybe you're evacuating or something like that, you can get the latest forecast. Again, right now you can get on the SiriusXM app and tune into digital channel 721, streaming through noontime Thursday to help keep you safe. Just another outlet for you to get the information that you need.
Yeah, really important, of course, to stay up on the forecast even when you're not in front of the TV. So we got you covered. What we know right now, the mayor of Houston is asking residents to stay off the roads until at least Wednesday. That's in an effort to keep city traffic to a minimum for people who may be evacuating through the city from other locations. Laura barreling toward hundreds of oil rigs in the Gulf. Close to 50% of the manned platforms have been evacuated, and mobile rigs have been moved out of Laura's path. At this time, officials aren't expecting major impacts to oil and gas supplies. However, Texas residents should be prepared for power outages. We urge people to have enough food and water on hand to get you and your family through at least 3 days. But hey, if you've got the option to have more, get more. Make yourself as comfortable as you can be while you wait. Could be a big power restoration process. Mike, we've seen it of recent with other storms. You got to prepare for the worst case scenario. So maybe prepare for a week without power and make sure you have what you need.
I think you've said it a couple of times this week, Alex. No one ever complained they were over-prepared. Everyone complains they were under-prepared, but no harm in being over-prepared in
Oh, bummer. I've got so many extra cans of tuna. What am I going to do? You just got a lot of tuna left. You're good.
And you're going to use it for the next hurricane, so no big whoop, right? All right, so let's bring you the latest on Laura. The wind's now at 80 miles per hour, Category 1 hurricane for us currently. Pressure 990, west-northwest movement at 17 miles per hour. It's getting its act together here, folks, now that it's over the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. And a couple subtle things to point out here on the visible satellite, which gives us a really good view. We had a little bit of dry air that pulled into the system earlier today, and I think it's really doing a good job of fending all that off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this here in the last frame and show you a couple things, all right? Well, I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go back just a couple of hours. I'm going to take you back to about 2 o'clock, all right? Maybe even just a nudge farther back than that. I want you to take a look at the storm here, okay? It's kind of milky looking around it. You don't see any little blobs. Everything's kind of smooth near the center of circulation, right? But watch what happens once we get to current time. it's a little different. Subtle differences do make a big difference. Do you see? Here's the center of circulation right in here. And then on the outsides of that circulation, it's taking on more of an annular shape, a ring shape. On the outside of that circulation, you're getting little blowups of convection. See little bumps in the satellite? Little thunderstorms now starting to form around the center. So what I think is happening is now we're starting to get potentially an eye starting to form here and some intensification. So I think a lot of times at nighttime in particular, you get nighttime blowups of convection. I think we'll get a stronger hurricane in the morning, and I think we're going to get a definitive eye by the time the visible satellite's available in the morning. We still have hurricane warnings in effect here. Galveston through Cameron, up toward Alexandria, Lake Charles, right in the heart of that, Port Arthur, Beaumont, all in the heart of that, and the winds could be extreme here. Beaumont, 110 mile per hour winds are possible. That could extend all the way up toward Jasper, not to mention well inland, like a Shreveport, 60 mile per hour winds could take down trees and tree branches here. So I think the opportunity for power outages is there for us here, Alex. There are just a lot of areas here of concern, not to mention if it hits toward the west, an area called Houston, home to about 7 million people, is at risk.
Yes, it's a huge metro area. In fact, the fourth largest here in the country. Our meteorologist Chris Warren is there tonight. So, Chris, a change in the forecast track would mean effects for a lot of people.
And Alex, just as Mike was talking about, a lot of people in the greater Houston area, and it's a huge area, has a lot of this around it. A lot of trees, a lot of homes with trees all around them. So with this being a wind event, whether it's tropical storm force winds or strong hurricane force winds, you have to think about, especially if you're new to the area, what's it like? What trees could come down? So there's a lot to think about and not a lot of time to prepare. That's why here at the Weather Channel, we have you covered as we track Laura.
Valspar's signature holds up to common stains and cleans up easy. Discover what's possible at Lowe's.
How do you make a Pinot Noir taste like no other? Start with grapes from 3 California regions. Push flavor in new directions. And put a bear on the label. Made like no other for a taste like no other. Mayomi, flavor forward.
So Dish lets you share your TV on multiple devices. Why?
Forgot something.
Because we know it's a little less scary leaving home when you can take a little bit of it with you.
Dish, tuned in to you.
Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything. Like pizza, your coworker's lunch, whatever this is. Astronaut food. And astronauts? Everything. Yum. It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles. Made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese. And ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
Attention, anyone on Medicare. Did you know you may now be eligible for additional Medicare-approved benefits?
I'm on Medicare. What kind of additional benefits could I be eligible for?
You may now be eligible for additional Medicare-approved benefits, including dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. Just call 800-665-3608 now to find out if you're eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like free hearing aids, free eyeglasses, free meal delivery, and expanded at-home telehealth visits.
Can I really get extra benefits for little to no additional costs?
You may also be eligible for $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, or no copays. Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional benefits. There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free.
I'm at home mostly now. What benefits can I get here at my home?
You may also be eligible for additional benefits with a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like home prescription delivery and expanded at-home telehealth visits. You don't get these benefits automatically, so call now to see if you're eligible. Just call 800-665-3608 now to find out if you're eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan that includes additional benefits like free hearing aids, free eyeglasses, free meal delivery, and free rides to medical appointments. You may also be eligible for $0 monthly premiums, $0 deductibles, or no copays. Just Just call the toll-free number on your screen now to see if you qualify for additional benefits, including dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drugs. There is no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free. Just call 800-665-3608. 800-665-3608.
All right, I brought in Ensure Max Protein to give you the protein you need with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein with nutrients to support immune health.
Welcome back, everyone, as we track Hurricane Laura for you. Category 1 hurricane with 80-mile-per-hour winds, sitting about 500 miles off the coast of Louisiana right now, but taking aim right at the Texas and Louisiana state line. Pressure's at 990 millibars, a west-northwest movement at 17 miles per hour, and in this general trajectory, headed very close to a Port Arthur, Texas, a Beaumont, Texas, a Lake Charles, Louisiana. So we're very concerned about what could happen for you here, folks, over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours. Here's a look at where Laura is forecast to head. Again, right down the center there is the Sabine River here. And if you notice this right here, this is overnight Wednesday into Thursday, forecast to be 115-mile-per-hour Category 3 hurricane. So that's a foreboding forecast here, especially when you're talking about intensification all the way to landfall. Then you look at where it heads after that. Still a tropical storm going up into Arkansas and then pushing its way east and could still bring us very windy conditions from Louisville, Kentucky to Philadelphia to New York out to Cape Cod. So we're a long way from over with this thing. It's just beginning here, folks, and the hurricane warnings that are in effect right now, I want you to take those very seriously. The areas where you've been asked to evacuate, it's likely because surge as high as 13 feet could come your way. That is devastating storm surge here. Galveston over toward Cameron, Louisiana. We're in that hurricane warning, but a hurricane warning that includes Lake Charles, Port Arthur, Beaumont, and up toward Alexandria as well. Not to mention tropical storm watches that goes far north as Tyler and Shreveport. So we think well inland will have effects from Laura, Alex.
Yeah, and we know water can be one of the most deadly and it can be the most deadly and underestimated threat in tropical systems. Right now, more than 250,000 people living along the Gulf Coast are at risk from storm surge from Laura. You can see that storm surge warning in effect for areas around Galveston to Lake Charles, areas south of Lafayette, Louisiana, even over to Grand Isle. Storm surge watches posted into portions of the state of Mississippi. So the size of this is going to allow for some far-reaching surge impacts. We think the worst of the surge will be around places like Cameron. So south of Lake Charles, southwest of Lafayette, that's where we could see surge values on the order of 9 to 13 feet. So this is not just dangerous. This is not just damaging, but this is life-threatening storm surge. South of Lafayette, 7 to 11 feet. Areas to the east of Galveston could be looking at 6 to 9 feet of storm surge. So extremely dangerous situation. And that's why they are getting people out of the path of this storm ahead of its arrival, because when you're looking at these storm surge values, getting above 5 feet, I mean, we are talking about getting up to halfway between your first story or even up to the second story of your home. And Dr. Greg Postel is showing us why even just a few feet of storm surge can be incredibly dangerous.
Laura is expected to be a major hurricane at landfall along the Texas and Louisiana coast. We know there's going to be significant wind along with it. Also, there's going to be significant storm surge flooding. Let's have a look at the storm surge maps produced by the National Hurricane Center, giving you an idea of the reasonable worst-case scenario for how much water you can expect above normally dry ground. Look at all these regions that could be underwater, even well north of I-10. Let's even have a closer look at some of the areas in and around Lake Charles. For example, this is the Lake Charles Civic Center. 6 to 9 feet of flooding could inundate the entire region. And just north of there, well, let's have a look at the city courthouse where more than 9 feet of flooding could occur. But how about the airport just to the south? There may be well over 9 feet in a very large area completely flooding the region. This is exactly why you need to evacuate. I'm not going to stop there. Let me show you what that looks like. Just a couple of inches of water can knock you off balance, and a couple of feet of water can send a car floating away. When you have that storm surge rise up to 3 feet, too late to evacuate. You need to shelter in place. All kinds of stuff could be in this water. Dangerous wildlife or even cars and objects. Of course, moving around to act like a battering ram and knock down walls and even buildings. but we know there's going to be storm surge flooding above that. Let's go to 6 feet. How about that? 6 feet of water rise. You better move to the highest floor of a building. That's the only way to survive. And unfortunately, there are going to be places that get more than 6 feet. How about 9 feet of storm surge and even more than that? This is not survivable, and this is why you need to evacuate when told to do so. So please follow the updates from the National Hurricane Center and pay attention to those evacuation orders when issued. This is a very dangerous scenario unfolded, and please stay safe.
Well, that just drives the point home, doesn't it? Well, another big story that we are following outside the tropics is residents evacuated in California. Some of the largest fires in state history are burning out of control. You're looking at the desolate wasteland here that remains in Santa Cruz after the SCU fire swept through there. 330 structures have burned in this one, and it's just tough to watch. It just really is. Threatening another 24,000 structures, all right? That's the CZU complex. But we've got the SCU complex, the LNU complex here. Those fires have been so big, they now rank as the number 2 and the number 3 largest fires in state history, surpassed only by the Mendocino complex fire 2 years ago that burned 459,000 acres. Dire situation right now in the West. Still to come, our live coverage of Hurricane Laura continues. We go in depth on the latest timing and the potential effects. An expert analysis you're only going to see right here on the Weather Channel.
This grilling forecast brought to you by Budweiser. Join the team that enjoys responsibly. Budweiser reminds you to drink wiser.
This Labor Day, crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of a long weekend. Make the most of your Labor Day by picking up Budweiser today.
If something happened to you, what would happen to them? Their home, their education, their future. You need life insurance, and chances are SelectQuote can help you get it for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found Jacob 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. And SelectQuote found his wife Wendy a $500,000 policy for only $17 a month.
Our secret? At SelectQuote, we aggressively comparison shop highly rated companies to find you the company with the best rates.
We found Gary, 35, a $1 million policy for only $22 a month.
Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
Call 1-800-304-3321 or go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Cover it up. That's what I did when I started losing my hair. But then I realized I could actually do something. Now I use Keeps, the easiest way to keep my hair. And it only costs $1 a day, which means no more covering up. Get started at Keeps.com.
This is your world. Are you ready to explore the technology that makes it tick? Get ready to code it, craft it, change it, protect it, and create your future. Destinations Career Academy gets high schoolers ready to launch meaningful careers, letting them learn the skills they need with the technology they'll use to make a difference. Get ready to shape your world. Enroll in Destinations Career Academy today. Anytime, any place. Education for anyone.
Introducing new Life Cuisine for your lifestyle. High protein, meatless, gluten-free, or low-carb lifestyle. Power up your day with new Life Cuisine. Delicious your way.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and nutrients to support immune health.
Things are starting to look up for small businesses. Your doors are open, customers are calling, orders are picking up. So now, more than ever, your business is going to need reliable internet and phone solutions for less. That's why Spectrum Business is proud to offer new customers the best internet, phone, and TV services for free for 1 month when you switch. Call 888-839-9449 today, and your business will get the best value available. With our faster internet speeds that start at 200 megabits per second for only $49.99 per month. Add our reliable business phone service, and you'll get unlimited local and long-distance calling. Plus over 35 calling features to help you stay connected at work or away for just $19.99 per month. At Spectrum Business, we're here for you because you're here for all of us. Get 1 free month of internet, phone, and TV when you switch to Spectrum Business today. Call 888-839-9449.
Unbelievable, this is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 89 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early. A few storms may be severe. Low 68. Chance of rain 50%. Wednesday, mainly clear. High 82. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Well, Texas on a high alert with Hurricane Laura gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico, headed for the upper Texas coast and headed for western Louisiana. Joining us right now live is Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, thanks so much for being with us. You know, how comfortable are you at this stage with the readiness of Texas for this potential major hurricane?
Listen, Texas is very ready for this, and we particularly appreciate the way that the local officials have been on top of this. But this is no surprise because we deal with hurricanes all the time, including even last month, as well as dealing with Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey devastated some of the areas that it looks like Laura could hit. And so these people are very well prepared. They're doing a great job of making sure that all local residents know about the need to evacuate in the areas where they could be subject to high water flows, potential flooding, as well as other catastrophic damages.
Back in the early part of this year, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel strategic planning analyst Chris Alexander, he wrote a scathing review in the Daily Beast saying that your state was in grave danger with the combined threat of tropical systems and COVID. We spoke with him last week on our show, and he now says, quote, "No doubt in my mind they're prepared, but we've never done this before. We've never faced a hurricane season in the middle of a pandemic in modern memory." What's your response upon hearing that now he feels the state is ready? Do you agree? And what have you done to get your state ready?
Well, he may be talking about what we were capable of showing when Hurricane Hannah came through the area of Texas that was hardest hit by COVID at that time, which was South Texas, and we didn't see any increase. In fact, since that time, we've seen a decrease in the spread of COVID-19 and hospitalizations in that area. So one thing that has happened over the course of the past month is that all regions in the state of Texas have done a much better job of slowing the spread of COVID-19 and reducing hospitalizations, but also we have shown that we can manage both an oncoming hurricane that has hit our shore as well as contain COVID. I'll add this also, and that is the way we do evacuations, for example, are completely different. We avoid crowding people into buses. We avoid large crowded settings like convention centers and things like that. We try to put people in hotel rooms so that families themselves can be together without exposing themselves to others where they would be in a situation of contracting COVID-19.
Governor, if it were to become more obvious that Houston would get a direct hit, how concerned are you about the number of people that would need to evacuate and go to shelters then because of the complications of the virus?
Well, first, I'm concerned about any area of Texas that could be hit in the population base, whether it be on Beaumont, Port Arthur, or Houston. Obviously, Houston is more densely populated. One concern would be if the hurricane were to hit Galveston head on and head up the ship channel, that could lead to a massive rise of water that could threaten a whole lot of regions. And so we're on high alert to make sure that we will be able to save lives. Earlier today, the county judge, which is the administrative leader for Harris County, which is where Houston is, as well as the mayor of Houston, were both talking about evacuations, but syncing it in a way that we're allowing Galveston and people from the coastal regions to be able to evacuate through Houston and Harris County first before Houston might begin an evacuation process. But we have about another 12 to 24 hours for people to get out of harm's way.
In the next 24 hours, if that track does shift farther west and mandatory evacuations are ordered for Houston, do you think there could be issues with a last-minute evacuation, or do you think the fact that other areas have already begun to get out will help?
Well, the early evacuation orders that have already been made by the local officials in regions ranging from Beaumont and Port Arthur to Galveston have aided the process, because we've seen traffic flows increase over the course of today. And what that means is the people in the coastal regions will have already departed, making it a whole lot easier for people in the Houston area to evacuate if they need to. You do point out a very important issue, though, and that is there is a point in time at which it may be too late to evacuate. I do want to remind people, particularly in the Houston area, about this, though, and that is this is going to be far more a wind event than Hurricane Harvey was, and less of a flooding event than Hurricane Harvey was. So it's not going to be a replication of what happened in Hurricane Harvey, but because of the wind event, it could mean that there will be power outages in vast regions where the hurricane may hit.
Well, Governor Greg Abbott, we thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're, of course, going to continue to follow your information on resources and what your state is doing to get your residents through this storm safely. Sure. Well, coming up next on Weather Underground, our live extended coverage continues. We track Hurricane Laura, a potentially dangerous and intensifying hurricane on a collision course with the Gulf Coast. Our coverage is back at the top of the hour.
Water?
Incoming! Water tastes like water, so we fixed it. Mio.
As a real estate agent, I've learned it's excess moisture that causes musty odors. Pro tip, use Damp Rid.
Damp Rid drop-in tabs attract and trap excess moisture out of the air, eliminating musty odors.
Works every time.
Get rid of dampness.
Damp Rid.
So Dish lets you share your TV on multiple devices. Why?
Forgot something.
Thank you.
Because we know it's a little less scary leaving home when you can take a little bit of it with you.
Dish, tuned in to you.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Hey, do they ever ask you what you're wearing?
Yeah.
Red sweater, button-down shirt. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Introducing the ingenious new Upwalker Lite, the safer, more comfortable way to get you up on your feet. From the makers of the award-winning original Upwalker, the Upwalker Lite is now 34% lighter, much easier to maneuver, and features a new lower price.
The Upwalker is revolutionary. A walker has the patient in the hunched over position, whereas when you have the Upwalker, you're able to walk upright because your balance is there.
It takes a lot of pressure off my back and my knees and my ankles. There's a lot less pain, so it makes me want to get out.
My Upwalker Lite allows me to shop, to go to dinner, to see my grandkids. I have freedom again.
Just call or visit upwalkerlite.com. We have new low prices and affordable easy payment plans. The Upwalker Lite comes fully assembled, features adjustable arms, and is now 34% lighter. The Upwalker Lite is easy to turn, so it's perfect for navigating tight spaces indoors and still enjoying more independence outdoors. A clinical study found users of the Upwalker felt safer and more secure, could walk with less pain, and had improved upright posture, resulting in better stamina.
What I hated about my rollator was I was always looking down
But with my Upwalker Light, I look ahead when I walk, and I feel like I want to go out now.
Call now and get free shipping, plus a free beverage holder, a free backrest, and a free carrying bag. Your Upwalker Light comes back by a 30-day money-back guarantee.
With the Upwalker Light, my kids can sleep at night because I am secure.
Visit upwalkerlight.com or call 800-416-9136. Learn about our easy payment plans. Call 800-416-9136 right now.
Valspar Signature holds up to common stains and cleans up easy. Discover what's possible at Lowe's.
Next on Weather Underground, special extended coverage of Hurricane Laura and concern increasing for the Gulf Coast tonight as Laura likely to intensify into a major hurricane with extreme wind and water extending well inland. Welcome to Weather Underground. We will be with you until 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central as we track Hurricane Laura here across the Gulf. I'm Mike Bettis, joined with Alex Wilson tonight. Chris Warren, he is live in Houston. He's breaking down Laura's impacts to the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, before we get you out live to Houston, I want to give you a look at what we know right now. Mandatory evacuations are underway for the Texas cities of Beaumont and Galveston. In the Houston metro, voluntary evacuations have been issued for zones A and B. For Louisiana, the National Guard is mobilizing nearly 100 high water vehicles for potential water rescues. Mike, Hurricane Laura, as expected, a hurricane today and expected to continue to increase in strength as it makes its way closer to the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen every step of the way here, Alex, from this point going forward right up into a landfall. Yesterday at this time, we were looking at a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. We're 20 miles per hour greater than that now with an 80-mile-per-hour Category 1 west-northwest movement, 17 miles per hour, and everything kind of going as according to plan, if you will. The forecast has been pretty steady with the track and with the intensity, so everything is going as we expected it to go here. I want to show you a couple different things that are happening here, though, including with the track, because when you look at the track here, one thing that's interesting with it, it's barely wavered over the past 24 hours or so. The only thing that's changed with this cone is the intensity forecast. It's bumped up to 115, so it's a little bit stronger than it was yesterday at this point, but what it does mean is a Category 3 hurricane potentially making landfall here, maybe right at the state line of Texas and Louisiana. So we think a Port Arthur is at great risk. Beaumont, Texas is at great risk. Lake Charles, Louisiana, Cameron, Louisiana, and then right up into Shreveport, Little Rock, and then all the way into the northeast as this thing gets picked up by a front and then pushes it very quickly off to the northeast. By Sunday evening, could we still be looking at a 45-mile-per-hour system? It'll probably become extra tropical at that point, but nonetheless, it could be a wind maker across numerous states here. First things first, though, in the areas at greatest risk and most urgent need to take action are in these areas that the hurricane warning is in effect. And that'll be Port Arthur and Lake Charles and Beaumont and up around Alexandria as well. But look where the tropical storm watches go. Far north, all the way to Tyler and Shreveport here with tropical storm warnings as far east as Grand Isle, as far west as Houston, sections of Houston, then down through, Brazoria County. Notice on the satellite, it's getting more impressive here. We're starting to get more convection or more thunderstorms pop around the center of this thing. And you can really see that on the visible satellite more than anything. A couple of hours ago, you could make an argument there was a little bit of exposure to the west. That's all now wrapped in. You're starting to get little bumps. You see the little bumps that you're seeing in the middle of the screen there? I'll even pause that on the last frame there. We're starting to get little bumps on the satellite right in here and here and here and here. So I think what we're getting now is some convection or thunderstorms that are starting to congeal around the center, and I think eventually we're going to get an eye to form here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that tomorrow morning. Sea surface temperatures are very warm right now, trending as much as 3 degrees above average, and so the areas have orange and red, more available energy for the storm, and it's going to go through some of that, but ultimately, there's warm water and it's deep, so even if upwelling were to occur, it's just going to upwell warm water. So cooler waters aren't really going to be a factor really at all with this. And you see where this goes with that track. There'll be plenty of water tomorrow to intensify the storm, not to mention we've got atmospheric conditions that are favorable as well, not just the surface temperatures at the Gulf level. We've got low shear environment.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
development here. But notice the trend. It's an upward trend. I think ultimately that's all you really need to know here. Is there a big difference between maybe 110 mile hour category 2 and 115 mile per hour category 3? No, Alex, there really isn't. It's just a changing category. We've got to put, markers in there at some point. Really what you need to concentrate on here is the trend is upwards the entire time.
Right. Absolutely. I want to check in with meteorologist Chris Warren live in Houston. Huge metro area there across eastern Texas. And Chris, a little change in the forecast path would mean many more people affected.
Yes, I mean, we're talking about, an area, a city, a greater metropolitan area with around 7 million people. I mean, we're talking millions of people. So the more it moves in the westerly direction, just how quickly the amount of people are going to be impacted by this. And we've been talking a lot about what we're going to expect out of this. It's going to be a fast-moving storm. So it's not going to be Harvey. That being said, some of the eastern part of this area could see some very heavy rain, and there could be some flash flooding. So we don't want to say that there's going to be no problems at all with the water. And of course, closer to the Gulf and any area that water drains into, with a surge, there's going to be flooding. So flooding is a factor, but it's not, I think, going to be the calling card of this storm. When we look around and see all of the trees here, we're in downtown. You get into some of the suburbs, and there are a ton of trees. So preparing for power outages, I think, is going to be one of the big ones. Preparing for a Wednesday night into Thursday situation. We might have to sleep on the first floor in case of falling trees. So we can learn lessons from previous storms, but no two storms are the same. Earlier today, meteorologist Paul Goodlow spoke with the Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner just about that exact thing.
Since 2008, we've tried to harden things. The infrastructure was hit hard. There were a lot of, for example, wires above ground. During that time, we've CenterPoint, our utilities, have tried to harden their infrastructure. Power was out during Hurricane Ike for about 14 days. In some cases, maybe it's been a little bit longer. So it wasn't about the rain. It was about the wind.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Electricity in their homes, losing their food, concerned about seniors. So now we have our registry where we're encouraging seniors and people with disability to sign up now, so we'll know who they are, and in some cases get to them much, much quicker than we were able to do during Hurricane Ike.
And with this being a power outage situation, preparing for that is such a big aspect. And Alex, you and I both growing up in northern latitudes, when we talk about the power going out often, I don't know about you, but we say the lights go out. Right. But here, this time of year, it's hot. When the power goes out, the AC goes out.
Absolutely. And so after the storm can be more uncomfortable, even worse in these kinds of climates. So that's why I think a lot of people are just preemptively going somewhere where they know they might have generator power, like a hotel or farther inland to a friend or family member's house. Galveston, one of the communities, of course, that is bracing for potential impacts from Laura. And as we look at where this thing is headed and what it could do in terms of that push of water, we're going to show you why storm surge could not just be, a minor problem that causes some damage, covers some roadways. This is something that could be really significant and life-threatening. So there's our forecast path. Our major hurricane expected as it makes its way towards the Sabine River, that area between Texas and Louisiana, as we head into the early part of Thursday. Storm surge watches and warnings already posted. The watches over into portions of eastern Louisiana, even Mississippi, and the warnings, those areas in the hot pink. So you can see a lot of communities under that storm surge warning. There are areas such as Cameron, west of Lafayette, where we could see 9 to 13 feet of storm surge. So we're talking about water getting into the second story of homes. 6 to 9 feet for communities on the southeast side of Galveston, 7 to 11 feet in the south central coast of Louisiana. So again, this is not just dangerous. This is potentially deadly, catastrophic storm surge that we might be dealing with. Now, for a place like Galveston, so important to look at where the center of the storm actually makes landfall. If the center tracks to the north of Galveston, then we're getting offshore.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Water away, and instead we'll deal with lower storm surge values. If the center is off towards the south and west, you get the higher storm surge value because there you've got the onshore winds for the bay around Galveston, so that water would be higher. So important to watch the track and any changes to the track, because again, we look at a place like Galveston, one side or another, tens of miles of change could mean big impacts when it comes to that surge. And the wave heights will also be on the increase. So in addition to the surge, we've got to watch for a rough surf, also dangerous rip currents here in the days to come. Not that anybody's going to be out in the water, but that'll obviously be an issue as well, Mike.
Now let's focus on the wind, all right? We've talked about the surge, which certainly is the reason you would evacuate. Now, when it comes to wind, there's a different complication here because you may not be evacuating because you're not going to get hit by surge, but you live in a Jasper or you live in a Shreveport and your power is going to go out. So be ready for lengthy power outages. I would anticipate in some instances your power be out for a week, if not more. 110-mile-per-hour winds in this area highlighted in purple. That's roughly 16 different counties or parishes. Beaumont, Port Arthur, Lake Charles, Cameron, up toward Jasper. And then still, hurricane-force winds could go well inland and could still hit the Houston metro area. Then up around the Arklatex here, including Shreveport, near Texarkana. 60-mile-per-hour winds. So also keep in mind, right here is the Davy Crockett National Forest, the Sabine National Forest in Louisiana. Some of the most heavily treed areas of Texas are right here in East Texas. So as we were speaking with the governor a little bit ago, power outages could be extensive. Trees going down could be numerous here. And so it could be a very long wait to get the lights back on. You see where the core force of the hurricane winds highlighted in this red disc, but the yellow disc is tropical storm force winds that could go as high as 73 miles per hour, which is nothing to sneeze at here, folks. And that's a large area, even as far east as Lafayette, over toward Baton Rouge. Then notice these winds up to Shreveport and Monroe, even a core of hurricane winds potentially coming through the Shreveport area, then everything, and then shifting quickly off to the east here. There's the wind speed forecast, and around the eye is where you're going to have the most intense winds. Right front quadrant hit will allow you to have the highest surge.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Particular part of the storm, which would be on the Louisiana side, but ultimately, even if you're on the western side, you could still easily get 100-mile-per-hour winds, if not more. Well, let's check in with meteorologist Chris Bruin. He's live in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We just showed that forecast there, Chris, and Lake Charles would at this point be almost dead center in that cone with everything on the table from heavy rain to storm surge to extreme winds.
Yeah, 9 to 13-foot storm surge possible. That's why the storm surge warning is in effect. We're in Lake Charles, Louisiana, by the way, under a mandatory evacuation that includes all of Calcasieu Parish and then Cameron Parish to the south. So take a look here. This is Lake Charles, hence the name. And this lake is fed in from the Gulf of Mexico. So as that surge comes up the bayous, and essentially see that high bridge over there, that's Interstate 10, and the waterway underneath is for all the shipping channels and for the oil refineries to get the oil to and fro. That is a straight shot to the Gulf of Mexico, okay? So that water will come up there and then fill this almost like a catch basin, Lake Charles, and it can flood. And we can show you evacuations because if you're wondering what traffic looks like, it's starting to pick up. Notice there the traffic that we're looking at heading east. That's Interstate 10. We're right downtown Lake Charles, and you can see there has been some slower traffic, and that's something we've been seeing a lot more of this afternoon. Even driving from New Orleans, you could tell a lot more people were headed east out of Lake Charles, even past Lafayette, to get out of the worst of the threat here from Laura. So that's something that we're monitoring here very closely. Even people around town, they are preparing. The city feels like a ghost town. It's quiet, it's eerie, and all the businesses for the most part are essentially closed. Take a listen to what some of the residents have been enduring, especially when it comes to financial strains preparing for storms.
Some people weren't ready because they were out of work. I was fortunate enough to have my husband that was working. I was working as well, so we actually saved and we're ready for something like this, learning from Hurricane Harvey. But, you have a lot of people that are financially strapped. So I'm hoping that they're able to get out, and, they may not be. So God be with them.
And that's the reality. It's not easy to prepare for a storm.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Added expense, especially if you're threatened multiple times in the season. So, Alex, it's not just areas here at the coast that have to start preparing now for power outages, flooding, even the potential for evacuations. We're going to look at that well inland because those hurricane force winds, they're not going to stay at the coast. They're going to move. This is a fast moving storm. That means it's going to go over more land before weakening fully. So we're talking northern Louisiana, Shreveport, even up to Arkansas, Memphis, West Tennessee, and into the Midwest.
Plenty of areas in the mix with this one. Chris, great point. It doesn't just affect the coastal areas. Let's talk about one of the impacts that will move well inland, and that is the heavy rain out of this one. Now, one of the positives is the storm will be moving, so we're not looking at something like Harvey or Imelda, something that slowly stalls over an area and dumps massive amounts of rain, but still flash flooding a possibility with this one. Tomorrow into early Thursday, watching parts of Louisiana and East Texas. As we get into Thursday and Friday morning, that's when we begin to watch communities like Shreveport, like Little Rock, where flooding is likely because of the heavy downpour. So flash flood watches have already been posted for parts of Arkansas, for parts of Texas, and the state of Louisiana, at least the western half. When we look at the rainfall total forecast, given the current track of this storm, we think we could be seeing some areas in the 8 to 12 inch range right along the coast, but that orange color indicative of 5 to 8 inches, and you can even see a stripe of that into parts of south central Arkansas. So the danger will be there for some flash flooding. Make sure you're aware, even if you don't live near the coast. Coming up, our live coverage of Hurricane Laura continues as we go in depth on the latest timing, the potential impacts, and of course, the expert analysis that you can only get here on the Weather Channel. Stay with us.
This program brought to you by Philadelphia, Schmear Perfection.
At Philadelphia, we know what makes the perfect schmear of cream cheese. The recipe we invented over 145 years ago.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Chamelier. Philadelphia, Schmear Perfection.
Just do it yourself.
Honey?
Yeah.
What are you doing in there?
Nothing. Do it for yourself.
At Safelite, we're here for you with safe, convenient service.
We'll come right to you.
You'll get a text when we're on our way.
Before we arrive, just leave your keys on the dash. We'll replace your windshield with safe, no-contact service.
And that service you can trust when you need it the most.
Schedule at Safelite.com.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water.
Earn box tops for your school with Nestle Pure Life. Available across these fun packs.
I'm Doug Hirsch. You may already know that GoodRx can help you save up to 80% on your prescriptions. Unfortunately, many Americans can't get to a doctor right now. The good news is that for many health issues, you can see a doctor online. It's easy. Just go to GoodRx.com, and with a few clicks, you'll be treated by a licensed medical professional, all from the comfort of your own home. Visits are confidential and affordable. Need a prescription? Your doctor can send it to your pharmacy or have it mailed to you. Get the healthcare you deserve at GoodRx.com.
And Doug.
You know, Limu, after all these years, it's the ones that got away that haunt me the most. Because you're not like everybody else. That's why Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance. So you only pay for what you need.
What?
Oh, I said.
Oh, this is my floor.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Frank's Red Hot.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Your coworker's lunch. Whatever this is. Astronaut food.
And astronauts?
Everything. Yum. It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
Is that net carbs or total? Not enough fiber. Chocolate would be good.
Snacking should be sweet and simple. The delicious taste of Glucerna gives you the sweetness you crave while helping you manage your blood sugar with nutrients to help support immune health.
Have you taken a body blow at work? If so, it's good to know that the lawyers at Pasternak Tilker are in your corner, ready to get you back in the ring. Whether you have a workers' compensation claim, a COVID-19 claim, or a Social Security disability claim, Pasternak Tilker, Ziegler, Walsh, Stanton, and Romano will always fight for you. Call them today at 1-800-222-WISH. That's 1-800-222-WISH.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go
Applebee's. All your favorite burgers, all just $8.99. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
This is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 90 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. Wednesday, mainly clear. High 82. A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Hurricane season doesn't stop for a pandemic, and neither do we.
Be ready for impacts well beyond the center of the hurricane.
Don't let COVID-19 take your eye off the tropics. This year's threat is more complex and dangerous than ever before.
Remain vigilant, pay close attention to the Weather Channel.
No one can cover this historic hurricane season better than the Weather Channel. Get the information you need to stay safe every day. Storm safety in a pandemic, all season long, right here on the Weather Channel.
You ready to roll out? Yeah, you don't care. You have your donut. I know, but Davos, y'all are scared. Moxie, you're just happy to be here. Leia, you're just happy to be here. Trees, don't go to sleep on our house. House, you be safe and be here when we come back. All right, here we go. Hey, Molly, you ready to roll out?
Every time my husband tells me I can't get more pets, I'm going to show him this video, right? And she's doing the right thing. She's not leaving any animals behind. Now, so she's got, 2 dogs, 2 cats, a hamster. So no excuses, guys. Bring your pets with them. But I'm sure if you're like me, if you're like her, pets are family. And so that has a lot of pull when we talk about whether we're going to evacuate her or not. I have heard a lot of state officials talking about pet-friendly shelters. So the states are providing them. So don't let that be a reason that you don't get to a safe spot, that you don't evacuate. Just find a pet-friendly shelter to take you and your 4-legged family to. Well, the Weather Channel's Dave Malkoff is in Beaumont as people there prepare to get out.
The mass evacuation of Beaumont, Texas is underway, an area that has already been recently devastated by Harvey, then Imelda. These folks aren't taking any chances. They're coming here to Westbrook High School so they can get a wristband. They get put into the computer system, wait a few minutes, and then sent on their way.
They say mandatory, time to go.
But I'm from Louisiana. I've sat through many hurricanes, and
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Well, the biggest concern about being in a shelter with a lot of people is just the kids getting sick. So, I mean, as long as they maintaining the social distance part and everything, and the hygiene, clean hygiene, I think we'll be okay.
You'll see a red X on every other row here on the charter bus, leaving it half full for social distancing. Every time a bus fills up, they head over to San Antonio, and then when the shelters fill up there, they head on to Austin. In the short period of time we have been here, they've already filled up 3 buses. In Beaumont, Texas, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
All right, Dave, thank you so much. Let's look at some of the individual cities and the impacts that they could see. What we're concerned about in terms of timing for a place like Beaumont. Strongest winds moving in, those 50-plus mile-per-hour gusts late Wednesday and into early Thursday. So it will be that overnight time frame that's the most active for your area. 5 to 8 inches of rainfall in the forecast. We look at Lake Charles. Here Wednesday evening, you're going to begin to see the winds pick up. Strongest winds Thursday morning through late Thursday. Those are those gusts of 60-plus miles per hour and a rainfall forecast of 5 to 8 inches. So flash flooding, definitely a concern. You can see the Lake Charles area, coastal spots of extreme southeastern Texas, looking at 5, 6, 7, even 8 inches of rainfall. And that extends well inland along the Sabine River on the west side of town, 5 to 6 inches, even into parts of eastern Texas. Now, a place like Alexandria, Louisiana, I think 2 to 3 inches for you. Lafayette, 2 to 3 inches for you as well. But here come the winds, and wind will be a real factor with this storm, much different than Marco, which didn't bring much in the way of wind. That punch of wind begins to really work in as we head into the overnight, late Wednesday, Thursday morning. You can see those winds exceeding 75 miles an hour, possibly around the Texas-Louisiana state line. Thursday morning, still looking at winds on the order of 55 to 65 miles an hour in spots. So, Mike, power outages are real concern.
We're also concerned about any potential rapid intensification. It's a term that we throw out fairly frequently when it comes to hurricanes. It's how quickly can it gen up and become a very serious threat.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Different factors. The recent intensity trend, the symmetry of the thunderstorm that you're getting around the center of circulation, how weak is the wind shear ahead of it, and what about the deep warm water ahead of the storm as well? So let's break some of that down, all right? First of all, what is rapid intensification? You need at least 35 mile per hour wind increase over 24 hours. And I would say this, at 2 o'clock this afternoon Eastern time, we had a 75 mile per hour hurricane. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, the forecast is for 110. Doing the math there, you figure it out here, folks. We could potentially have a rapid intensifier by 2 o'clock tomorrow. But it's difficult to forecast. 1 in 3 storms are going to undergo rapid intensification, and most of the big ones, of course.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
You take a look at nothing else, just the trend is upwards. Almost all the way through landfall here with every single model here. Just what is the threshold for the highest winds in essence? But everything's going for it. Upper level high pressure. We've got low wind shear right now, and it's moving into a low wind shear environment. We have warm sea surface temperatures, and they're at depth as well. It's not just at the surface. And guess where the track goes? Right through those warm sea surface temperatures. So no reason to think it's not going to still strengthen. Well, still to come, more in our extended live coverage as we track Laura for you. An intensifying hurricane on a collision course with the Gulf Coast, and our team spread out to have it covered for you throughout the day tomorrow through landfall and beyond.
John Tyson's motto was, "When better chickens are hatched, we will hatch them." It's why all of the Tyson chicken that bears his name is raised with no antibiotics ever. Every nugget, strip, and drumstick. Keep it real. Keep it Tyson.
Water?
Incoming! Water tastes like water, so we fixed it. Mio.
We know to wash our hands. Here's a reminder from Cetaphil to wash your face, too. Dermatologist recommended Cetaphil washes away germs in 20 seconds and leaves skin moisturized and healthy. Show your sensitive skin some love with Cetaphil.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
On my insurance.
Do you mean surprisingly great rates from State Farm?
I don't believe in accepting help, but I'll make an exception.
Here's the deal, Russell. There's no special rate. These prices are for everyone.
With the oak and the eagle as witness. Consider us square. I made that from memory. I know your face that well.
You want the real deal? Like a good neighbor? State Farm is there.
Introducing the future of fitness. It's every class you can imagine. Live.
Welcome back to the mirror.
You've got this, John. And on demand. It's boxing, cardio, yoga, and more. It's an interactive, goal-crushing, whole family, whole body fitness machine.
It's so cool.
The future of fitness is at home. The Mirror.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
It's the satisfaction of upgrading to a bidet seat just like that. And the simple joy of washing your hands without ever touching a faucet. We think it's the little things that matter. And we know you do too. That's why we create moments to feel Kohler clean every day.
Find your keys. Find your get up and go. Find pants that aren't sweats. Find your friends. Find your sense of wonder. Find the world is new again. At Chevy, we'd like to take you there. Now, during the Chevy Open Road Sales Event, get up to 15% of MSRP cash back on select 2020 models. That's over $5,700 cash back on this Equinox. It's time to find new roads again.
When you have depression, it can plunge you into deep, dark lows and can leave you feeling extremely sad and disinterested. Overwhelmed by bipolar depression? Ask about Vraylar. Not all types of depression should be treated the same. Vraylar effectively helps relieve all symptoms of bipolar depression with just one pill once a day. Elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis have an increased risk of death or stroke.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. Metabolic changes may occur. Nausea, restlessness, and movement dysfunction are common side effects. When bipolar depression overwhelms, ask how Vraylar can help.
Hurricane Laura now poised to strike the U.S. as a major hurricane, and the time to prepare for landfall running out. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Alex Wilson.
I'm Mike Bettis. We think it's going to happen, late tomorrow, Alex. So everything's got to basically be completed tonight or early tomorrow morning. We got the live coverage for you tonight. We will be with you until 9 o'clock, but 24/7 coverage right here on the Weather Channel. And by the way, if you can't watch us on television, you have Sirius XM, you can watch on the app. You can listen on the app, I should say. 721 is the channel for you there. We'll be streaming live through noontime Thursday to keep you safe.
Let's get you caught up on what we know right now. The mayor of Houston is asking residents to stay off the roads until at least Wednesday to keep city traffic to a minimum. That's for people who are evacuating through the city from other areas. The USGS says Texas can expect 40% of its beaches to be overwashed. And the city of Austin is opening shelters for people evacuating from Galveston. Mike, we look at the big picture with this thing, and this is going to be a much different beast than what we had with Marco.
For sure. Marco was kind of on its last legs. It came ashore.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
This one is your typical hurricane. This one is going to mean business. It's an 80-mile-per-hour Category 1 right now. It's 20 miles per hour more intense than it was yesterday at this time, and tomorrow we think it could be 20 to 30 miles per hour stronger than it is right now. West-northwest moon, I should say, it's 17 miles per hour. Decent amount of convection has formed around the center of circulation here, so we're just going to give this thing some time and watch it as it rolls its way across the Gulf of Mexico on the visible satellite, and we'll lose this here in the next hour or so as the sun sets. But what we're starting to see, I think, is an eye now beginning to form right in there with thunderstorms starting to form a ring around that. So I think a well-formed eye is about to happen for us, and I think it'll happen tomorrow. A lot of times with the Category 1 or stronger Category 1, you'll end up seeing the eye. I think by tomorrow we've got a Category 2 or maybe even on the precipice of Category 3.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
They'll be that way all the way through landfill and beyond. Galveston, Port Arthur, Beaumont, Lake Charles, Cameron, up toward Alexandria, Lufkin. We're in a hurricane watch, but the effects of the winds go well inland. I know a lot of times we really focus at the coastline, but I don't want you to do that in this particular circumstance because, first of all, it's a very intense hurricane, we think, at landfall, and the really intense winds could go all the way up into Arkansas. We could have 40, 50, 60-mile-per-hour winds in Arkansas, all right? So a lot of forest in here, too, and that means a lot of trees can come down, which means a lot of times the power poles come down. But the most intense core of winds where you have hurricane force winds could go up toward Alexandria, north of Jasper even. So be prepared to go a lengthy amount of time without power. That means batteries, generator, gas for the generator, and make sure you can charge all your electronic devices. Again, there's a look at the track. And overnight Wednesday into Thursday could be a nighttime landfall, 115-mile-per-hour Category 3 right at the Gulf Coast. Alex.
Check in with Chris Warren, our meteorologist, live in Houston tonight. Hey, Chris.
And Alex, just getting word right now that there is mandatory evacuations just ordered for Jefferson County. That's one of the counties much closer to Louisiana, really in the heart of where at this point it looks like the center of this system is going to
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
maybe a little while, get closer to the event, where it's going to go, how strong the winds are going to be. But there are some things we just don't know. We don't necessarily know exactly how the wind and the water is going to interact with stuff. How is it going to interact with your home? That new feature you built in the backyard, or the new addition to your house, something that perhaps hasn't been tested with a storm. And no two storms are the same. They don't come into the exact same location. They don't hit with the exact same wind angle. And then we also don't know exactly how people are going to react to the storm. And just looking around here in downtown, we've been down here for, a few hours and seeing just a light breeze, which feels fantastic. It's hot here. We're in the middle of summer, and the water here blowing, the wind blowing over the water, it changes direction. There's, a lot of tall buildings in downtown. The way the wind comes and interacts with the buildings. You walk around downtown, one side of the building, there's no wind. The other side, you come around a corner and that wind's blowing. So there's still a lot we don't know with the forecast, Alex, but we also don't know how it's exactly going to play out with the environment and with the people in the coming days.
Absolutely. We're going to keep an eye on this area, obviously, very closely. We've got a lot of crews there to get ready for this storm. Also, parts of the Northeast dealing with some severe weather as we look at our storm surge warnings along the Gulf Coast.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
City metro area, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for New York City, Bergen, Hudson, New York counties under the warning. 60-mile-per-hour winds possible and penny-sized hail as this storm quickly races off to the southeast.
Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything. Like pizza, your coworker's lunch, whatever this is. Astronaut food.
And astronauts?
Everything.
Yum.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
So Dish lets you share your TV with your family on multiple devices. Why?
Sweetie, forgot something.
Thank you. Because we know one thing's for sure. It's a little less scary leaving home when you can take a little bit of it with you.
Share your TV on 5 devices, no extra charge. Dish, tuned in to you.
When you start with a better hot dog from Oscar Mayer,
That's no way to treat a dog.
you can do no wrong.
Where did you learn that? The internet.
Yeah.
With no artificial preservatives or added nitrates or nitrites, it's all for the love of hot dogs.
As a real estate agent, I've learned it's excess moisture that causes musty odors. Pro tip, use Damp Rid.
Damp Rid drop-in tabs attract and trap excess moisture out of the air, eliminating musty odors.
Works every time.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
For your lifestyle, high protein, meatless, gluten-free, or low-carb lifestyle. Power up your day with New Life Cuisine. Delicious your way.
Is that net carbs or total? Not enough fiber. Chocolate would be good.
Snacking should be sweet and simple. The delicious taste of Glucerna gives you the sweetness you crave while helping you manage your blood sugar with nutrients to help support immune health.
Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water.
Earn box tops for your school with Nestle Pure Life. Available across these fun packs.
This is an athlete 20 reps deep, sprinting past every leak in our softest, smoothest fabric. She's confident, protected, her strength respected. Depend. The only thing stronger than us is you.
This is my body of proof. Proof I can fight moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis.
Proof I can fight psoriatic arthritis. With Humira. Proof of less joint pain.
And clearer skin in PSA.
Humira targets and blocks the source of inflammation that contributes to joint pain and irreversible damage.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, serious and sometimes fatal infections including tuberculosis and cancers including lymphoma.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
And new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Humira is proven to help stop further joint damage.
Want more proof? Ask your rheumatologist about Humira citrate-free.
If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
Book 2 separate qualifying stays and earn a free night. The open road is open again, and wherever you're headed, Choice Hotels is there. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Welcome back, everyone, as we track Hurricane Laura for you tonight. It is a Category 1 hurricane with 80-mile-per-hour winds, west-northwest movement, 17 miles per hour, sitting right out there in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico and headed toward Texas and Louisiana. A lot to talk about with this. I want to show you the visible satellite while we still have an opportunity to give it to you. This is only visible because the sun is up. As soon as the sun sets, it gets dark, and maybe you can see that. We're now starting to get a little bit more of a what we'd call an annular shape to this. We're starting to get more of a ring formation around the center here. And I think an eye is trying to form here. I think it's done a pretty solid job of fending off some dry air intrusion that was wrapping around from the northeast. And in a little bit, you can see a little channel there was starting to come in. I think it's closing off now, and it's going to be able to fight off some of that dry air intrusion.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Hurricane here. You take a look at the forecast here. 110 miles per hour by tomorrow. Mid-afternoon, then 115 at landfall. But then look at this. Where's it go? All the way through the Mid-South, the Ohio Valley, then right into the Northeast. And it could be breezy the entire time along that. I say very intense winds all the way up into Arkansas. Then the winds will back down a little bit. But I would still expect in some areas spotty outages that go all the way over to the East Coast here. When is your time to be ready for this? For Louisiana, your timetable is a little bit shorter than it is for Texas, but by tomorrow morning, we'd like for everyone to have their hurricane preps completed and then be ready to take action. If that means you're done packing up, you're done boarding up your home, you're ready to evacuate if you're asked to, or you're just ready to hunker down, all right? That's just ultimately what you need to do here. Ride this out if you're not in an evacuation zone, and if you are, you need to get to a safe location. Tomorrow, possible severe weather, by the way, especially in the area in bright red. That could include strong thunderstorms, could also include the opportunity for some brief tornadoes, especially late in the day tomorrow. Want to get back to meteorologist Chris Bruin. He is in Lake Charles, Louisiana, which sits squarely in that forecast cone here, Chris. And the concern is there are multiple concerns, let's just put it this way, for Lake Charles. But that water could really come in from the Gulf of Mexico and go tens of miles inland, even affect Lake Charles.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue. Let's talk
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
You know, it brings familiarity, so people can refer back to a storm. This area hardest hit last was in 2005 with Rita. So I want to show you what we're looking at. So here's Lake Charles, okay? Pretty calm evening, so enjoy the last several hours before weather starts to go downhill throughout the day tomorrow, especially by sunset. But notice that vacant parking garage right there. So what that used to be was a casino parking lot, and there used to be one of those huge steamboat type casinos that sat on the water. Well, in Rita actually brought Lake Charles up to the base of that parking structure, so that tells you how high the water rose, and then smashed the whole casino up against it. So now it sits vacant, waiting for redevelopers to kind of develop it. But it kind of paints the picture on how dangerous storm surge can be even this far inland. Remember, we're about 40 miles or so due north of the Gulf of Mexico. So we're not right on the coast, but this area is very shallow. It's really just water between here and the actual beach in Cameron Parish. But people are evacuating, and it's noticeable. People are making those last minute preparations, and we have time to do so. We even talked to a family that's actually a resident here in Lake Charles. Listen to where they're evacuating to.
We're going to Arkansas. It's going to come there, but it's not going to, be as bad. Why get out?
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
It was bad for Rita, and they said that's what it was going to be like. So we knew about that one.
All right, so it's always good to remember past storms, but no two storms are alike. So we may not have a duplicate situation of what we had in Rita. Just as an encouragement, it could be worse or it could be better. So there's a lot of factors here. But I will say this, Alex, people are taking Laura seriously. Just being around town, a lot of homes boarding up, taking out any loose items, yard furniture. The gas stations were full. By the way, 84% of the oil production here in the U.S. is closed because of getting all those people off of the oil rigs. So that's going to impact not just here at the Gulf Coast gas stations, but really across the country. So fill up while you can. Don't take too much more than you need. You got to share it for everybody, but be mindful of those things.
Absolutely. Chris Barone, we're going to be checking back in with you. Some good advice, though. And, he mentioned that sometimes we can underestimate these storms. And water is oftentimes the most deadly but also underestimated threat of a tropical system. Right now, more than 250,000 people who live along the Gulf Coast are at risk of storm surge from Laura. And the storm surge warnings from areas around Galveston over to Grand Isle, parts of Mississippi under a storm surge watch. That includes the Gulfport area. Now, when we look at the values, we're getting beyond the, problematic, the nuisance.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
And life-threatening territory. 9 to 13 feet of storm surge. That is the forecast, Mike, for areas around Cameron to the southwest of Lafayette.
Those numbers are big. Yeah. They should be scary, too. Now to the west, a scary situation in California. Some of the largest fires in state history right now burning out of control. The desolate wasteland in Santa Cruz after the CZU Lightning Complex fire there. 330 structures have burned in this one, but it's threatening more than 24,000. The SCU Lightning Complex and LNU Complex fires now number 2 and number 3 in California history for acres burned. We're back with more Laura coverage after this.
Do you know why I love Coffee Mate? Well, it's triple churn and 2 times richer than milk for one perfect cup of coffee. Think I love Coffee Mate too much? No, impossible. Coffee Mate. Coffee's perfect mate.
Bill assumed it was a costume party. Bill assumed his mayo was the best choice. Assume nothing. Just like the leading brand, Kraft Real Mayo is made with high-quality ingredients at a price you can feel good about. No wonder Kraft is so good.
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that looks out for charges that might surprise you and helps you fix them. What's in your wallet?
Introducing new Life Cuisine.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Gluten-free or low-carb lifestyle. Power up your day with new Life Cuisine. Delicious your way.
On the road again.
Book 2 separate qualifying stays and earn a free night. The open road is open again, and wherever you're headed, Choice Hotels is there. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Attention Medicare recipients. Medicare has expanded benefits to help you during these uncertain times. Coverage may now include many benefits to help you while at home. To find out what new Medicare Advantage benefits you can get in your area code, call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Hi, Joe Namath here. In Lakeview, I'm at home staying safe. There are new benefits to help you while at home. Telehealth, in-home aids, home-delivered meals, and so many more. But you don't get them automatically. You need to enroll. The easiest way to enroll is to call.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Coverage may now also include dental, home-delivered prescriptions, no deductibles, and no copays. Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call now. It's free.
Call 1-800-346-4800. That's 1-800-346-4800 now.
This Labor Day, crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of a long weekend. Make the most of your Labor Day by picking up Budweiser today.
Attention, changes to Medicare now allow Medicare beneficiaries access to additional benefits and a 75% discount on prescription drugs. Some plans may even offer free eyeglasses, free hearing aids, free wellness visits and gym memberships, even free meal delivery. To see if you qualify for additional benefits, call for your free, no-obligation Medicare benefits review. Our licensed insurance agents can look up your current Medicare benefits and tell you what's now available to you. You may not have to wait for the Medicare annual enrollment period. You may be able to get additional benefits now. You may be eligible for a plan that includes coverage for vision and dental expenses, including extractions and dentures, and may also include over-the-counter allowances to help pay for diabetic supplies, incontinence supplies, vitamins, aspirin, and more. Choosing a Medicare plan can be complicated. We've set up this hotline to help you get the best benefits for you. The call is free and easy. Make sure you are getting the free or additional benefits that could be available to you. Don't delay.
Call now. 800-634-8027. Call now.
Unbelievable, this is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 76 degrees with rainy conditions. Tonight, thunderstorms early. A few storms may be severe. Low 69. Wednesday, mainly clear. High 82. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Texas on high alert with Hurricane Laura gaining strength now in the Gulf of Mexico. It's an 80-mile-per-hour hurricane making its way northwest.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
To see how his state is preparing while also dealing with a pandemic. Take a listen.
The way we do evacuations, for example, are completely different. We avoid crowding people into buses. We avoid large crowded settings like convention centers and things like that. We try to put people in hotel rooms so that families themselves can be together without exposing themselves to others where they would be in a situation of contracting COVID-19.
Isn't that the truth? You have to do things a completely different way this year. Checking in with meteorologist Chris Warren live in Houston. You know, Chris, they've been getting people out of surrounding areas. And there, the mayor of Houston has said, if you don't have to be on the roads, please don't, so we could keep that clear for evacuation traffic.
Right, and because a lot of the people that have to evacuate, including what we just learned in Jefferson County, there closer to Louisiana, in many cases have to come through Houston, or perhaps coming to maybe the other side, the far western side of Houston, as this system is still expected to have its biggest hit, the biggest impacts on the east side from around Houston. And, you know, the area of Houston is not off the hook. Still looking at a potential tropical storm or even a hurricane. Hurricane force winds coming through the Houston area is still a possibility. So to talk about the possibilities right now, I want to go back to Mike, who's been looking at this, of course, nonstop virtually here.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
For a second, what do you feel most confident in? What do you think is the most, what's a lock? you think, for Texas? And what do you think is the biggest wild card that could possibly catch people off guard?
Yeah, I think what we're locked into right now, Chris, is probably a direct hit in the upper Texas coast. I would say a Beaumont and a Port Arthur in particular. I think they're going to get hit really, really hard by this. Even if the track were to go a little bit east, I still think that they're in a world of hurt, unfortunately. Houston is the wild card, and the thing that I'm concerned about in Houston is what if the hurricane were to start wobbling a little bit farther west? Well, and it's increasing in strength. Well, now you're talking about, voluntary evacuations that might become mandatory evacuations. And you're talking, especially if you're talking maybe zones A and B, now you're talking 800,000 or 900,000 people that would be under mandatory evacuation. So do you call those evacuations, or do you just tell people it's too late, let's just shelter in place, because we don't want all those people on the roads?
And part of the thing, too, is if that call isn't made until tomorrow, the weather's going to be going downhill tomorrow. There's going to be showers. There's going to be some thunderstorms. Yeah, it really is going to be too late. But I think at least one thing we can take away from this, not a widespread, long-lasting event, whether it is wind or some localized flooding, right? I mean, wind is going to be the big one. I think it's going to be, and I think this is also tough for the people that live in wooded areas.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
With a lot of trees around, you want to be downstairs.
I think it's going to be a very potent hit, but it's going to be progressive, all right? And it's a little bit small. I think, a lot of people are making the comparison of a Rita, okay? Right now, it's about half the size of what Rita was. So that's good, right? But this thing is going to come in fast and hard. It's going to hit us. We're going to get big time surge for a short period of time. We're going to get high winds for a short period of time, but it's a very big punch, Chris. It's a knockout blow. It's like literally, it's like a Mike Tyson, where he would come out in the first round, you'd get an uppercut, and the fight's over. That's what this is going to be.
Yeah, that's funny, Mike. I was thinking of the exact same analogy. I just couldn't think of another boxer that is more like the, wear you down to the, the late rounds. But absolutely, I remember watching Mike Tyson come out and boom, and it's over.
Yeah, that's what this is going to be.
There's a guy on the ground, right?
If you're still talking a forward motion here of between maybe 15 and 20 miles an hour, Chris, this is not a Harvey. There's all these comparisons. Is it a Rita? Is it a Harvey? I don't think it's either. It's somewhere in between an Ike and a Rita, I think. Those were both very big storms, but it's progressive the whole time, and it's moving inland. But the thing that you did mention, there's a lot of trees. And so a lot of trees are going to go down. A lot of power outages, I think, are imminent.
Yeah, so we talk about the forward motion again, Mike. What do you think might catch people off guard tomorrow?
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
It's looking getting more and more impressive.
Yeah, I think it's because it happens at night. And so, it's just going to be rock and rolling all night long. You're not going to see it coming because you're going to try to be getting some sleep if you can. And then I think the caveat in this is going to be northern Louisiana and Arkansas. Watch for a really significant wind hit there with, I think, significant power outage as well inland. Chris, thanks so much for the update there from Houston. We're going to come back here in just a little bit at the top of the hour with the very latest on Laura. Back to our teams out in the field. Alex and I are back right after this.
Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything. Like pizza, your coworker's lunch, whatever this is. Astronaut food.
And astronauts?
Everything.
Yum.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
Attention! Are you on Medicaid or Medicare? The U.S. government recently announced that 12.2 million citizens are eligible for additional benefits beyond what they receive from original Medicare or Medicaid. These additional benefits include up to $1,000 of dental credit, up to $1,200 to spend at your local pharmacy, up to $144 added back to your Social Security check every month. To see if you qualify, call Go Medicare today at 800-932-2698. Again, if you have Medicare or Medicaid, you may be one of over 12 million citizens eligible for additional benefits, including up to $1,000 of dental credit, up to $1,200 to spend at your local pharmacy.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Every month. To see if you qualify, call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center at 800-932-2698. Both the call and the consultation are 100% free with no obligation to enroll in anything. Call today, 800-932-2698.
We did it! Wherever you start, SNHU is where you can finish.
go.
And it's it. Yay! Southern New Hampshire University.
Like it's a hope.
Look at that! Master's degree! I did it! I did this for my children. I am very proud of myself.
Finish your degree at snhu.edu.
I'm not ready to lose my hair. Not now. But I never thought there was a real solution. Now I use Keeps, the easiest way to keep my hair. And I can get my treatment without leaving the couch. Go to Keeps.com to learn more.
Policy Genius saved me a lot of time. Going onto the website, first of all, it was very intuitive, very user-friendly. The customer service and the price was phenomenal. I saved about $800. Take a few minutes out of your day and give Policy Genius a shot.
Here's to the doers. To all the people who realize they can do more with less asthma. Thanks to Dupixent, the add-on treatment for
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
isn't for sudden breathing problems. It can improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks and help prevent severe asthma attacks. It's not a steroid, but can help reduce or eliminate oral steroids. Dupixent can cause serious allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis. Get help right away if you have rash, shortness of breath, chest pain, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection. And don't change or stop your asthma treatments, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Are you ready to do more with less asthma? Talk to your asthma specialist about Dupixent. If your financial situation has changed, we may be able to help.
How do you make a Pinot Noir taste like no other? Start with grapes from 3 California regions. Push flavor in new directions. And put a bear on the label. Made like no other for a taste like no other. Mayomi. Flavor forward.
Next on Weather Underground, special extended coverage of Hurricane Laura here. The concern increasing for the Gulf Coast tonight as the hurricane likely to intensify into a major hurricane with extreme wind and water extending well inland. Welcome everyone to the show tonight. With you until 9 o'clock Eastern time as we track Hurricane Laura across the Gulf. I'm Mike Bettish, joined in studio tonight by Alex Wilson. Chris Warren brings us live reports from Houston where he's breaking down Laura's impacts. Chris Bruin live for us in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
I want to get a look at what we know right now, including mandatory evacuations. They're underway for the Texas cities of Beaumont and Galveston. In the Houston metro, voluntary evacuations have been issued for zones A and B. In Louisiana, the National Guard is mobilizing nearly 100 high water vehicles for potential water rescues. Mike, we're looking at a storm that will be strengthening over the next day, making landfall late Wednesday, early Thursday there along the Gulf Coast.
You know, these ones make you so uncomfortable, especially these ones that hit at night. It can be so darn scary, right? Well, Laura right now is in 80-mile-per-hour Category 1. It's increased about 20 miles an hour since this time yesterday. West-northwest movement at 17 miles per hour, 990 millibars of pressure if you are tracking this evening. But you can see it's got a pretty good shape to it. You know, yesterday it was taking on some shape here, but as of now, you take a look at it and it's getting its act together. And I think by the time we look at it tomorrow morning, it's going to be a completely different looking hurricane, and it's going to be a scary looking hurricane, unfortunately. The track and the intensity hasn't changed all that much. It's ticked up just a little bit with the intensity, with a forecast for us overnight Wednesday into Thursday of 115. That would make it a Category 3, would make it what we would consider a major hurricane. Major hurricanes are Category 3, 4, or 5. But tomorrow, by 2 o'clock tomorrow, it's forecast to be at 110 miles per hour, which if you do the math here, would technically meet the definition of rapid intensification. 35 mile per hour increase in wind speed over 24 hours. But then coming up into even Shreveport by Thursday evening, still as a hurricane, so well inland, and then tracking off to the northeast, going all the way into the northeast. Philadelphia, Newark, New York, Boston could all have very breezy conditions as a result. Hurricane warnings are in effect here. All these counties and parishes that are highlighted in purple tonight, that includes Lake Charles, Louisiana, Cameron, Louisiana, Port Arthur, Texas, Beaumont, Texas, really worried about both those places, and Galveston, we're worried about you as well. Houston Metro, mostly under tropical storm warnings right now. Those extend well to the east, including Grand Isle and north toward the Shreveport area and Tyler, Texas as well. On the visible satellite, a lot more bumpiness, if you will. It's, I think, a decent way to describe it on the satellite. And what that's indicating on here are areas where we've got thunderstorms that are now starting to encircle the center of the storm. So I think it's now starting to congeal. I think we're fending off any dry air, and I think we're off to the races, unfortunately, tomorrow. Very warm sea surface temperatures, so that's going to aid in the formation and the strengthening here. And then you're going to see the track that goes through some pretty warm water. But really, we think strengthening happens all the way up through landfall, unfortunately, with very few hiccups in the forecast. And really the trend, if you just look at the trend overall, all the forecast models here, and this is all of them up here at the top, they all are edging upwards through tomorrow, which again doesn't bode well when you've got that kind of agreement here. And so I'd be prepared for a Category 3 hurricane to make landfall tomorrow. The surge is going to be intense, especially on the right front quadrant, and the power outages could be extensive, as well as the damage because of that intense wind speed, Alex.
Absolutely. And Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards is holding a press conference right now. Let's listen in.
Briefing on Hurricane Laura. We have a full crew with you today that can answer questions. I can tell you, speaking to you later today will be Benjamin Schott. Ben, as you all know, is from the National Weather Service, but also scheduled to brief you today will be Secretary of Transportation Dr. Sean Wilson. And of course, we got the rest of the team here today, and we want to thank the State Police and Colonel Reeves for hosting us for these press conferences. As everyone should know right now, and this graphic was just updated at 4 p.m., but Hurricane Laura is forecasted and on track to be a mid-level Category 3 hurricane at landfall. This is a major hurricane. It's going to be a large, powerful storm. And it is forecasted to make landfall on the Louisiana-Texas line at about 1 a.m. on Thursday morning. There haven't been any significant changes to its track over the course of the day. There was a very slight movement towards the east, which obviously every mile that it comes to the east, that means that the severe impacts get pushed into Louisiana even further. Parts of Louisiana will begin seeing impacts from the storm at some point tomorrow morning with tropical storm force winds, and then obviously throughout the day that will increase. Just from a historical perspective, Laura is shaping up to look a lot like Rita did 15 years ago in terms of its forecasted intensity and the forecasted spot where it will make landfall in southwest Louisiana. And again, we don't say that to scare anybody, but that point of reference sometimes helps in order to make sure people understand the seriousness of the situation and that they take the necessary precautions and take advantage of the time that we've been given to prepare. This is one of the blessings in this particular scenario, because there was a time not long ago when we were afraid that Hurricane Marco would come and we would have a very brief window to respond to Marco and then try to reset before Laura, but we actually have a better opportunity to do that now. We need to take full advantage. All of coastal Louisiana should brace for storm surge, and this is going to be a significant amount of storm surge, and from the Texas line to Morgan City is where that's going to be most pronounced, and Ben's going to get more into that in just a moment. And earlier we thought that storm surge was going to be the major impact, and it still will be, but the wind less so. But with this being a strong Category 3, the impact from the wind is going to be much more pronounced than we thought, and will extend across more of Louisiana than we originally thought, because it's a very powerful storm, and hurricane force winds are forecasted to continue all the way up just about to Shreveport. I'm not sure the last time that we saw that. Hurricane warnings are in effect, as you know, for most of southwest Louisiana, and the winds will be strong. I'm going to let Ben get into that in just a moment. But just to give you an idea, from Baton Rouge to west of Houston, there will be very strong winds associated with this particular storm. Do want to encourage people before Ben briefs not to get too fixated on the cone because there will be impacts, severe impacts outside the cone, and also because the storm historically will make landfall only 2/3 of the time within the cone. Just understand what the forecast is and that this is a serious storm that's going to have impacts much broader than the cone itself. The rainfall will be significant as well, and the good thing we have going for us is the forward speed of the storm that's forecasted when it hits Louisiana, and how quickly it should travel and exit into Arkansas. But that doesn't mean that we won't have significant rain, and understand that when the rivers can't flow because the storm surge is holding them up, it doesn't take a whole lot of rain for those rivers to continue to swell and have that localized flooding that you wouldn't want to see. And even with a quick-moving storm, sometimes rain bands can sort of, in isolation of the storm, seem to be stationary. And if that stationary band parks itself over a given area, then much more rain will fall in that area. And as you're going to hear, that could be up to 15 inches in certain places. That's the very high level.
And you have been listening to an update from Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards giving a briefing on the preparations and the expectations in Louisiana. One thing that he did make a point of there was that don't really focus on just the cone, because as we know, Alex, the effects can go well beyond the cone. I think that well stated there by the governor.
Yeah, especially with a large storm, which we are seeing with Laura, as opposed to the much smaller Marco we dealt with earlier this week. Well, Chris Warren is live in Houston, our meteorologist, one of our meteorologists out in the field. And Chris, Houston, obviously an area watching this one very closely 3 years after Harvey. It's not going to be a Harvey, but could bring wind, of course, surge to coastal areas, and even some heavy rain to Houston. But obviously, again, nothing like Harvey.
Right, and the big reason for that is the track that this storm is on, and not in the direction, but the speed. It's on the fast track, if you will. So as Mike and I were talking about a little while ago, it's going to be a one big hard punch as it comes through. It's just a matter of where the fist of this storm is going to hit, or if it's going to be kind of a glancing blow. Is it going to be right in the face? It still needs to be worked out. But what we are thinking about, the way things are going to play out tomorrow, as here where we are downtown, people just kind of hanging out, taking it easy. Tomorrow, the weather is going to go downhill either way. Showers and thunderstorms, and it's going to be a pretty nasty day. The question is, how is your sleep going to be at night? How are you going to be, just as kind of a rainy, stormy night that you're sleeping tomorrow in the Houston area? Or are you with the family downstairs up all night because this storm is raging outside? So we're really on that edge here in Houston. Now, the closer you are at this point to the Louisiana border, the more likely you're going to see these powerful winds. And this is really going all the way up through the state of Texas and up through Louisiana, all the way up into Shreveport and Bossier City, and then eventually it makes that turn to the Mid-Atlantic. So we have some nasty weather for several states to come, but it's starting here in coastal areas. Again, we're in Houston, but coastal areas in Louisiana and in Texas, and then it's going to head up, and it's going to go very quickly. So it's a matter of still making sure loose objects, of course, any toys in the backyard are put away, any equipment. Maybe you've been building something in the backyard, you make sure everything's away, lawn furniture, the whole deal, because this is going to be a big wind event. And the other thing, too, is as this moves, the wind's going to come at different directions at different times. So just because you may, Alex, have a couple of hours where you didn't really have any problems, once the wind changes directions, that's one thing with these tropical systems, is that there's a lot of erratic behavior with these storms.
Absolutely. And we know with this one, storm surge, water, so many times an underestimated factor, could be a really big danger. In fact, we think perhaps the most life-threatening factor coming into play with Laura. We look at Galveston, Texas right now, one of the locations, of course, that we are watching, and people are leaving in advance of the storm. Storm surge, that's that push of water onto normally dry ground, and we could be looking at getting into the second story of some of those coastline homes. When we look at the forecast cone for Laura, of course, expecting a Category 3 hurricane by Thursday morning, 115 miles per hour, the wind. So that push of water will be very much in play. Storm surge warnings posted from eastern Texas through much of Louisiana. Even a storm surge watch getting into parts of Mississippi and extreme eastern Louisiana. Take a look at these numbers, though. When we look at that storm surge potential, 7 to 11 feet south of Lafayette, south of Lake Charles and Cameron, storm surge values of 9 to 13 feet. So this, again, is water that's getting up into the second story of homes. Why it's so important if you are told to evacuate, to go, because it's the water that's going to be deadly and perhaps in some of these areas devastating. Those numbers are really high. Now in Galveston, we look at where the center of the storm goes, because that's going to play a major role into how bad the surge is. If we have a center of the storm tracking north, we've got offshore winds for the bay, so lower storm surge values. Those storm surge values increase if the center tracks to the south of Galveston, because there you would have that strong onshore push of water. So really important to watch the details with the track as we move forward. Those areas on the front right quadrant usually dealing with the worst of the surge, as well as other factors like severe weather. But look at those wave heights, Mike. We're looking at some areas that could exceed 30, even 40-foot wave heights. So in addition to surge, rough surf will be an issue, and rip currents, although nobody should be out there in the Gulf.
It's just an incredibly rough 24 hours, beginning likely midday tomorrow through at least midday on Thursday for the coastline here. The wind potential is substantial, unfortunately. 110 mile per hour winds or higher in this area that's in the purple here. And that's really going to be the core of where the hurricane will be, and the eye wall winds will be affecting you. Jasper, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Lake Charles, Cameron, Louisiana, over toward maybe Pecan Island there. Then you look at the areas that go even up to, say, 60 mile per hour winds. That's a large area that goes even up to Shreveport or even southern Arkansas. In those areas, you could anticipate power outages. They could be lengthy, too. But there are also big forested areas here. You've got 2 national forests sitting within that cone, unfortunately. And so that means trees will go down and then power poles will go down. Tropical storm force winds are in the yellow disc. The red disc shows you where the hurricane force winds are likely to be. So that's a much smaller area, but where you have tropical storm force winds, you could still have power outages and damage even. Lafayette, we're on the eastern side of that, but this area right in here is where we could see significant structural damage to homes. Roofs will be in danger. That area right there with the red. Please be ready to shelter in place in a very sturdy shelter if you're in those locations where you're not evacuating. Again, watch that core go up towards Shreveport with hurricane force winds through Thursday afternoon. We're back after this.
Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water.
Earn box tops for your school with Nestle Pure Life. Available across these fun packs.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life, posing a real threat to your comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning. Your well or sump pump won't work. Your modern daily electronics are rendered useless. And what if the power's out for days or weeks? Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator.
24 days we were without power. I had water, I had ice, I had coffee, I had air conditioner. I was able to stay here because of the Generac.
When an outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Generac generators run on your home's existing natural gas or propane. And Generac's standard Mobile Link remote monitoring system keeps you posted on operating status, maintenance updates, and more. Generac generators are designed, engineered, and purpose-built in the USA. Generac is the #1 manufacturer of home standby generators in the world. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
Very good product. Very, very good reviews from everybody.
Prices start at just $19.99, and special financing is available with surprisingly affordable monthly payments. Call now to schedule your free in-home assessment with one of Generac's 6,000 nationwide dealers. The call is free, the assessment is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Plus, if you act now, you'll receive a 7-year extended warranty absolutely free. That's a $695 value. Call now, so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to schedule your free in-home assessment today.
When you start with a better hot dog from Oscar Mayer,
That's no way to treat a dog.
you can do no wrong.
Where did you learn that? The internet. Yeah.
With no artificial preservatives or added nitrates or nitrites, it's all for the love of hot dogs.
Introducing new Life Cuisine for your lifestyle. High protein, meatless, gluten-free, or low-carb lifestyle. Power up your day with new Life Cuisine. Delicious your way.
This Labor Day, crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of a long weekend. Make the most of your Labor Day by picking up Budweiser today.
It's never been more important for businesses to reach customers on every device, but it's also never been more complicated. Spectrum Reach has simplified it, making it easy to reach anyone, anywhere, on any screen. Because multi-screen advertising is the best way to reach new customers and grow your business. We can put your business on TV, plus the most popular entertainment, news, and sports streaming apps today. We're the most trusted media partner in America, and we're here to make your business grow. Head to spectrumreach.com/multiscreen today.
I have an idea for a trade.
Oh, yeah? You gonna place it?
Not until I'm sure.
Why don't you call TD Ameritrade for a strategy gut check?
What's that?
You run it by an expert, you talk about the risk and potential profit and loss.
Could have used that before I hired my interior decorator.
Voila.
Maybe a couple of throw pillows would help.
Get a strategy gut check from our trade desk.
Unbelievable, this is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 75 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, scattered strong to severe thunderstorms. Low 69. Chance of rain 40%. Wednesday, mainly clear. High 82. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy. Low 72. Winds west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Hurricane season doesn't stop for a pandemic, and neither do we.
Be ready for impacts well beyond the center of the hurricane.
Don't let COVID-19 take your eye off the tropics. This year's threat is more complex and dangerous than ever before.
Remain vigilant, pay close attention to the Weather Channel.
No one can cover this historic hurricane season better than the Weather Channel. Get the information you need to stay safe every day. Storm safety in a pandemic, all season long, right here on the Weather Channel.
Yeah, you don't care. You have your donut. I know, but Davos, y'all are scared. Moxie, you're just happy to be here. Leia, you're just happy to be here. Trees, don't go to sleep in our house. House, you be safe and be here when we come back. All right, here we go.
She is doing the right thing. Love that the hamster gets to ride shotgun, right? She's not leaving any of her animals behind following those mandatory evacuation orders. And, we've heard from so many state officials that there are shelters available that will take pets. I know that's a reason why a lot of people choose to not evacuate. I get it. I wouldn't leave my pets either. But make sure you bring them along and make sure you find one of those shelters that'll accept your four-legged family member as well. Well, the Weather Channel's Dave Malkoff, he met up with some residents of Beaumont, Texas, who are prepping to leave ahead of the storm.
The mass evacuation of Beaumont, Texas is underway, an area that has already been recently devastated by Harvey, then Imelda. These folks aren't taking any chances. They're coming here to Westbrook High School so they can get a wristband. They get put into the computer system, wait a few minutes, and then sent on their way.
They say mandatory, time to go.
But I'm from Louisiana. I've sat through many hurricanes. But this time, new place, can't swim.
Well, the biggest concern about being in a shelter with a lot of people is just the kids getting sick. So, as long as they maintaining the social distance part and everything, and the hygiene, clean hygiene, I think we'll be okay.
You'll see a red X on every other row here on the charter bus, leaving it half full for social distancing. Every time a bus fills up, they head over to San Antonio, and then when the shelters fill up there, they head on to Austin. In the short period of time we have been here, they've already filled up 3 buses. In Beaumont, Texas, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
And if you are told to leave, so important to do so because we are going to see some really significant, dangerous effects from Hurricane Laura, expected to increase in intensity as it makes its way closer to the coast. A place like Beaumont, you'll begin to see those winds pick up on Wednesday afternoon. It's Wednesday evening, overnight into Thursday morning that brings the worst of the wind. That's when we could see those gusts exceeding 50 miles an hour. So power outages a concern, and of course, rainfall totals could exceed a half foot. So flash flooding also something we'll be watching for. Now we go over to a place like Galveston, Texas. Like Beaumont, winds on the increase by Wednesday afternoon, but winds could exceed 60 miles an hour in a place like Galveston as we get into the late afternoon on Wednesday into Thursday morning. In addition to rainfall of 3 to 5 inches, storm surge of 3 to 5 feet possible. So many threats on the table for residents there. We look at the wind speed and how things will very rapidly change as we get into the second half of Wednesday. Here's 3 o'clock with those winds 25 to 35 miles an hour around Galveston, but very quickly the core of some of those stronger winds moving into the area by 11 o'clock, looking at those gusts in that 35 to 45 mile per hour range. So power outages a possibility from areas around and to the east of Galveston, I think in particular. By the time we get into Thursday afternoon, things begin to improve in Galveston, but other areas will continue to see some strong winds, and that includes communities that are inland, parts of northern Louisiana, Arkansas. We'll be watching for some of those effects. In Shreveport, Thursday morning, the winds begin to pick up for you. It'll be Thursday mid to late morning through the afternoon that you've got those winds that could exceed 40 miles an hour in Shreveport, and rainfall 3 to 5 inches. So this is an inland community that will see significant effects. Mike, take a look east, or rather west of Shreveport. We could see some half-foot totals of rainfall. So flash flooding will be a real concern away from the coast.
Yeah, I think if you're home now, you're watching this, you're thinking, okay, what's my plan of action? You're just going to have to hunker down, be prepared, for water in the roadways, and then let it all go away before you head back out. We've also talked about what the wind speeds could do with this and how they could really ramp up, something known as rapid intensification. There are several things that are involved in that, including the intensity trend that you're already looking at, how symmetrical the thunderstorms are around the center, how weak is the wind shear ahead of it. If it's weaker wind shear, more opportunity for strengthening. Do you have deep, warm water ahead of it? Yeah, we've got both of those things right now. The rapid intensification definition, though, is 35 mile per hour wind increase in 24 hours. It's a difficult thing to forecast. And I think we're actually just now beginning the process of potential rapid intensification because we were 75 miles an hour at the afternoon, and then we went to 80, and the forecast is for 110 by tomorrow at 2. So that would technically give us 35 mile per hour increase. The trend is upwards all the way through landfall here, basically, folks, and that's all you really need to know. Factors for strengthening: upper level high pressure. Do we have that? Check. Yes, we do. Low wind shear over the storm and ahead of it? Check. Yes, we do. Warm sea surface temperatures, and we're going to track through that. Yes, check that off the box as well. So everything is there. Not to mention, we've been fending off dry air pretty easily today, and now it's getting a core. So I think we get an eye tomorrow and a 100+ mile per hurricane.
Jake from State Farm, I can't thank you enough for getting me the Serena savings on my insurance. Can I get you 10 free minutes in the broth bath?
Serena, with State Farm, everyone's offered surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, sure. How about a complimentary wet moss wrap?
Here's the deal. These savings are for everyone.
Seriously? She's just jealous.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Alana is very, very, very energetic. I, of course, any mom would call her an angel. Alana was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it's cancer. There's nothing that I can do to make any of this better. I have to turn over all of my control to the doctors at St. Jude and pray that they're able to fix it.
For just $19 a month, you'll help us continue the life-saving research and treatment these kids need. Join with your debit or credit card right now, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt.
When we got over here is when I realized that, no, you're not gonna get a bill for anything. They're saying we're gonna help save her, we're not gonna charge you anything. This is what we do.
Because people like you donate $19 a month, families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food. Because all a family should worry about is helping their child live.
Alana has been out of treatment since December. We had her final CAT scan that revealed that there was no signs of cancer, which is awesome. My baby is gonna be able to live.
St. Jude won't stop until no child dies from cancer. Go online or call now.
As business moves forward, we're all changing the way things get done. Like how we redefine collaboration, how we come up with new ways to serve our customers and deliver our products.
This one is cheddar. It's delicious. Oh, you look so healthy.
But no matter how things change, one thing never will. You can rely on the people and the network of AT&T to help keep your business connected.
It's totally normal to have constipation with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again. No way. More exercise, more water, and more fiber is the only way to manage it.
Is it?
Maybe you think it's occasional constipation.
Maybe it's not.
It could be a chronic medical condition called IBS-C, and time to say yes to Linzess. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Change your thinking to IBS-C. If your constipation and belly pain keeps coming back, tell your doctor and say yes to Linzess.
It takes a relentless attention to detail, a passion to protect people from the elements. But most of all, it takes a commitment to comfort in any conditions. At the Weather Channel, our gear means everything. And whatever the weather, you'll find us there, proudly wearing Land's End. Because Land's End stands for quality in everything they make, so we know they can stand behind us. The official outfitter of the Weather Channel is Land's End. Let's get comfy everywhere.
Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water.
Earn box tops for your school with Nestle Pure Life. Available across these fun packs.
The most important thing our citizens in this storm's path can do right now is pay attention to their local elected officials, and when asked to leave, to take those safety measures to evacuate. We want to evacuate. We do not want to have to rescue.
Because it is so large, we're going to be in for a life-threatening surge.
This is going to be more of a wind event.
Hurricane Laura now is poised to strike the U.S. as a major hurricane, so the time to prepare for landfall is running out. I'm Alex Wilson.
Everyone, I'm Mike Bennis. We have special around-the-clock coverage for you here on the Weather Channel, covering every angle of Hurricane Laura here. And you can watch us, of course, on your TV, but if you have to evacuate, you're in your car, you're like, well, I can't watch TV. Well, you can listen to us on Sirius XM digital channel 721. That'd be on the Sirius XM app. You're going to have the streaming live coverage there for you to keep you safe ahead of this storm.
Yeah, always good. I know when I'm out in the field, I do the same thing. Listen to that streaming coverage so you know about every change to the forecast. Well, let's get you caught up on what we know right now. The chief of Texas's Department of Emergency Management wants Texans to prepare to be without power for days. Close to 50% of the manned oil rig platforms have been evacuated. 16 mobile rigs have been moved out of Laura's path. At this time, officials aren't expecting major effects, though, to oil and gas supplies. The Humane Society, they're evacuating more than 220 dogs and cats out of Beaumont, Texas shelters. Mike, we look at the forecast for Laura, and it's good. We want to get the people, the animals out of harm's way.
You know, I think maybe one of the benefits here with this forecast track, which hasn't varied a ton in the last 24 hours especially, Alex, is the consistency. So consistency matters sometimes, and, you know, really honing in on it makes a difference. So hopefully you're all prepared and you're ready to go already. If not, hopefully completing your preparations tonight. We've got an 80-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane right now in the Gulf of Mexico, and we think that steady strengthening all the way through landfall is very likely for us here. The movement is west-northwest at about 17 miles per hour, and we got the planes that are flying in there right now, including two NOAA planes, the P3 and the Gulfstream flight here. We've got Miss Piggy, that's the one that's flying the low-level flights. And then we got Gonzo, as they call them after Muppet characters. But you want to take a look at what they're doing here. They take off from Lakeland, Florida. And here's a look at the low-level flight from NOAA here aboard Miss Piggy. Again, doing some crisscross through it right now, so we're going to get some good data on what the wind speed is and what the position of it is. And with the high-level planes, they're actually sampling the atmosphere around it. That actually helps us forecast the track and intensity a little bit better. But with Miss Piggy, what we find, we had a wind gust here that was over hurricane strength. So I don't think there's any reason to think that the strength at the 8 o'clock advisory, which comes out here in about half hour or so, will really change much from where it is now. I don't think it comes down at all, but I think it's a pretty likely bet it stays at 80. It could potentially go up to 85, right in that wheelhouse. But Galveston, over toward Cameron and beyond, we've got hurricane warnings in effect here that will include Port Arthur and Lake Charles and Beaumont. These places could see extreme winds here. Damage from wind is going to be likely here, not to mention pretty significant power outages, we think. And then there's the storm surge that comes along with it. Say we've got a landfall that's right in here. Well, that means strong storm surge on the right front quadrant, and it could be to the tune of 9 to 13 feet. There are the wind speed forecast, 110 plus miles per hour coming our way, Alex.
All right. I want to get a look at how preparations are going from some of the communities that could be affected. We look at Houston, Texas. Meteorologist Chris Warren is there. This is a huge metro area. At this point, they're watching because a more westward track could mean much bigger impacts there.
Yes, it could. In fact, let's talk about that, the gradient and difference. We got to swing around here and pretend in your mind that the storm track and the impacts is vegetation. Okay, we talk about a gradient. Look at the difference here. There are tall trees, smaller little shrubs, and then just some grass. And the track, if you were to move all of this, say Houston is right here in the grass, but then the whole track shifts this way a little bit. Now you're in the bushes and possibly the trees. So that would be the gradient. Over a short distance, you go from a little of something, whether it's light winds or a little bit of rain, to a lot of something else over a very short distance. And that something else could be some very strong winds, or it could be some very heavy rain, because that's all on the table. And here in Harris County and the counties going over closer to Louisiana are in that kind of predicament. Are we going to stay here in the grass in Houston, or are you going to get more of this? And there's still going to be some fringe effects. See how this tree kind of overhangs the grass? It's not a perfect gradient. It's not an absolute, fine line between who gets a lot, who gets a little, but the sharp,
All right, I brought in Ensure Max Protein to give you the protein you need with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein with nutrients to support immune health.
At Safelite, we're committed to taking care of you and your car.
We'll fix it right with no contact service you can trust.
So if you have auto glass damage, stay safe with Safelite.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
So Dish lets you share your TV with your family on multiple devices. Why?
Sweetie, forgot something.
Because we know one thing's for sure. It's a little less scary leaving home when you can take a little bit of it with you.
Share your TV on 5 devices, no extra charge. Dish, tuned in to you.
How do you make a Pinot Noir taste like no other? Start with grapes from 3 California regions. Push flavor in new directions. And put a bear on the label. Made like no other for a taste like no other. Mayomi, flavor forward. And Doug.
You know, Limu, after all these years, it's the ones that got away that haunt me the most. Because you're not like everybody else. That's why Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance. So you only pay for what you need. What? Oh, I said. Oh, this is my floor. No! Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Book 2 separate qualifying stays and earn a free night. The open road is open again, and wherever you're headed, Choice Hotels is there. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Attention! Do you have Medicare? Did you know that you may qualify to get up to $144 added back to your Social Security check every month? It's easy to see if you're eligible. Just call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center at 800-905-6107. In addition to receiving $144 every month, you might also qualify for a $0 Medicare Advantage plan that includes the following benefits: dental, including fillings, exams, and dentures; vision, including exams, frames, lenses, and even contacts; hearing, including hearing aids and batteries; and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost. The Go Medicare Benefits Help Center is open now at 800-905-6107. Both the call and the consultation are 100% free with absolutely no obligation to enroll. Call the Go Medicare Benefits Help Center now at 800-905-6107. That's 800-905-6107.
Find your keys. Find your get up and go. Find pants that aren't sweats. Find your friends. Find your sense of wonder. Find the world is new again. At Chevy, we'd like to take you there. Now, during the Chevy Open Road Sales Event, get up to 15% of MSRP cash back on select 2020 models. That's over $5,700 cash back on this Equinox. It's time to find new roads again.
Hey, thanks for staying with us here on the Weather Channels. We're going to update you on Hurricane Laura spinning in the Gulf of Mexico right now and likely to make a landfall late tomorrow night, well after dark tomorrow night. An 80-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane, west-northwest movement at 17 miles per hour and about 480 miles outside of Louisiana right now. If you look in the visible, we just got last little image there. Quite a bit of thunderstorm activity now is blossoming around the center. So a lot of times we'll get nighttime convection or thunderstorm activity that blows these things up. And I think that we're probably well on our way to forming an eye here. At least we're now starting to get some convection wrapping around the center of this thing. So usually an indication that we got some strengthening, and I think that's going to be ongoing all the way through landfall and then maybe even, slightly into landfall even. But anyway, usually interaction with land is going to tear these things apart. But look at the track on this thing. all the way into the Northeast through the weekend, folks. Obviously, the biggest hit is going to be here down across the South, but you could still have, 30-mile-an-hour winds coming through West Virginia, the district, into Philadelphia or New York. And then you take a look at the time we need to be prepared. When do we need to be ready? Tomorrow morning, I would say, get everything finished because the winds are going to start to increase tomorrow, and then they become extreme by late in the day. Inside that forecast area where you could have some pretty extreme weather is Lake Charles, Louisiana. Our Chris Bruin is there this evening. Chris, if you're not finishing, your preparations tonight, if you've not got the car packed, you've not got the boat out of the water, you need to do it and do it quickly.
Yeah, you need to do it. I would say over the next 12 hours, that's really your last window of opportunity. So overnight tonight and early in the morning, because after that, weather starts to go downhill. Those outermost bands are going to be here before you know it. Take a look at this. So this is an encouraging sight to see when you look at the marinas and you don't see a boat in the water. That's going to help limit damage overall because that's just a toy when you were talking about a hurricane of this magnitude. So empty docks, and this dock is actually higher grade. The dock goes up with the water level. All right, here on Lake Charles, and numerous scenes just like what you're looking at here across the city. And a lot of homes too, they're boarded up, they're putting their shutters up, they're taking all their boats. I'm looking at see all their boat docks and their boat homes all along the water shore there off in the distance. I don't see one boat, so everybody has really done a good job preparing. We've been watching this time and time again, and we've had time to prepare, and now it's crunch time. And the city of Lake Charles is as prepared as they've ever been. We've talked to some locals, and they tend to remember other storms to make changes on how they prepared. Here's what one family had to say.
I was a young man when Katrina came through. Now this will be my first hurricane that I'll be able to experience. I'm originally from Texas, Tyler, Texas, so we was able to help people that came from the hurricane the first time. So now that I'm living in Lake Charles, I'll be able to experience it and bunker down and get it together, man.
All right, so whether it's Katrina, it's Rita, or a different storm of some magnitude, and take that as kind of your reference and know how scary that was, lessons that you may have learned yourself or your family. And I know city leaders always take note of those things for future storms. It's never a good idea to compare the storms because we know every storm is different, Alex, but it does give you a reference as to, how bad it can be and how much worse it can be in the end result. And so it's just better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. And we saw that with Marco, thankfully. That whole storm just shiveled out. Laura will not be like that. So it's going to be a dangerous threat and something we want to take very seriously.
You are right on. Always better to just have everything you need. Nobody ever goes, oh man, I'm left with all these toaster pastries. Something tells me you'll figure out something to do with them. Well, we know water can be the deadliest and most underestimated threat in tropical storms. Right now, more than 250,000 people living along the Gulf Coast are at risk of storm surge from Laura. Of course, storm surge warnings are in effect. Storm specialist Carl Parker shows us why even a few feet of storm surge can be incredibly dangerous.
Laura is expected to be a major hurricane, and along with it, we are going to be looking at life-threatening storm surge flooding. In Louisiana, there's a lot of low-lying territory, a lot of marshland, and that's going to allow that surge to penetrate well inland, 20, 30, maybe 40 miles or more in some areas. And let's take a look at Lake Charles, Louisiana, home to 78,000 people. Look at all of that flooding. You're talking about 3 to 6 to 9 feet of flooding all across that region. That is going to be huge if it happens just like that. Even well to the north, up the Calcasieu River, we could be looking at storm surge flooding 40 to 50 miles away from the Gulf of Mexico. So what does that look like on the ground? You get into 3 feet of storm surge flooding, you can forget about driving out. It's not going to happen. It will float your car at that level. And also there could be toxic chemicals in the water. We've seen that in this region before. You get to 6 feet of storm surge flooding and suddenly objects are floating around, crashing into other things. There's structural damage. It's incredibly dangerous. It's life-threatening. The only way to survive this would be to get to the second level of a home. And then what about 9 feet of storm surge flooding? This is in the forecast. Look at this. Look at that. There is no way you could survive that level of flooding. So when local officials tell you you've got to get out, you have to evacuate, you've got to get out.
Powerful, and that should show you exactly what could happen in some of these areas where you're going to need to evacuate and do it and get to a place where you feel safe. We want you to stick around. We still have live coverage of Laura to continue here. We're going in depth on the timing, the potential impact that the hurricane hunters are seeing, and we'll head back out to our crews in the field. Alex and I will be back at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
For bathroom odors that linger, try Febreze Small Spaces. Just press firmly and it continuously eliminates odors in the air and on soft surfaces for 45 days.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. If your child doesn't seem themselves at times, they may not be hydrated enough. All new plant-powered Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
This is my body of proof.
Proof I can fight moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis.
Proof I can fight psoriatic arthritis. With Humira.
Proof of less joint pain.
And clearer skin in PSA.
Humira targets and blocks the source of inflammation that contributes to joint pain and irreversible damage.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Humira is proven to help stop further joint damage.
Want more proof? Ask your rheumatologist about Humira citrate-free.
If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
When it's especially important to keep skin clean, keep reaching for Cetaphil. Recommended by dermatologists. Awarded by Allure. And most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser's sensitive skin.
Real people are realizing there's a better way to mobile.
My carrier probably has a lot of fees I don't even know are there. Basic phone line access, federal universal service charge, I don't even know what that is. Why am I paying these fees?
At Spectrum Mobile, there are no added taxes and fees. What you see is what you pay. $45 a line with our unlimited data plan or $14 a gig with our Buy the Gig plan.
The calculator said that we would save $600 a year. We've actually saved $612 in half a year.
With Spectrum Mobile, I'm saving over $350 a year.
$650 a year. It's true. Most customers who use our calculator find they could save hundreds every year. Don't wait. Find your savings at SpectrumMobile.com or call 844-258-8115. And get it all with free nationwide talk and text and no contracts.
I'm ready to switch.
Get more for less with our unlimited data plan for $45 a line or our Buy the Gig plan for $14 a gig. Plus, get the flexibility to mix and match plans. Visit a Spectrum store. Go to SpectrumMobile.com or call 844-258-8115.
It's unbelievable. This is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, scattered strong to severe thunderstorms. Low 69. Chance of rain 40%. Wednesday, except for a few afternoon clouds, mainly sunny. High 82. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy. Low 72. Winds west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Texas on high alert with Hurricane Laura gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico right now. You take a look at it, 80-mile-per-hour winds, and we have hurricane warnings in effect here and tropical storm warnings as well, looking for landfall late tomorrow night right at the Texas and Louisiana state line.
And earlier, we had the chance to speak with Texas Governor Greg Abbott to see how his state is preparing while also dealing with a pandemic.
I do want to remind people, particularly in the Houston area, about this, though, and that is this is going to be far more a wind event than Hurricane Harvey was, and less of a flooding event than Hurricane Harvey was. So it's not going to be a replication of what happened in Hurricane Harvey, but because of the wind event, it could mean that there will be power outages in vast regions where the hurricane may hit.
And many officials are urging people to be prepared for those power outages and have supplies to last several days. Meteorologist Chris Warren is live in Houston. You know, Chris, if we were to see those stronger winds shift closer to the Houston area, that, of course, would make much more in the way of power problems because the fourth largest metro area in the country is Houston's.
Yeah, millions of people, Alex, with a lot of trees as well. So Houston, where I am right now, is in Harris County. We're under a tropical storm warning, so tropical storm conditions expected tomorrow night and into Thursday morning at some point. And then next door in Liberty County, which is on the east side, a hurricane warning. So two counties, one expecting tropical storm force winds, the other expecting hurricane force winds. So that's why we talk about a little bit of a movement in the forecast track to the west, and could mean that hurricane force winds are happening for Metro Houston. So with that possibility, this hotel behind me is increasing. They have increased their occupancy, not increased their occupancy, but they're getting more people in because the threat of power in this kind of weather, in this kind of heat, losing power is tough go. Sleeping in steamy, hot conditions is tough. So people, again, and Mike, I spoke to the general manager of this hotel back here, and he said they're expecting to be up, at the highest amount of people in the hotel since COVID started. And a lot of these hotels have been, running around 5%. I think they were like at 20% of occupancy. So, of course, with COVID, businesses are hurting, but the influx here and the available space for people to come get some AC is a huge thing. And you never know, too. If you live in a heavily wooded area and you worry about trees coming on the house, it's better to, be in a safe place.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we'll watch, the extreme power outages that are at least the potential for that. At least they could go all the way up into Arkansas, we think with this, Chris. And I think for so many people, you've got to have everything you need to be prepared for power outages, because in some of these instances, especially if there's a lot of trees down, Chris, it could take the better part of a week, if not longer, to get power restored.
Yeah, and that too, Mike, happening with this kind of heat. I mean, you stand out just for a little while and you start sweating. And right now it's hot, but when the sun gets on you, it bakes. And if you're in a home, you don't want to open up the windows, right? It's just, it's hot and it's relentless.
Yeah, listen, if that big derecho we had in Iowa a couple of weeks ago is any indication with all those trees that came down, it just is a lengthy process to get people back online. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. I want to update people because we just got the new advisory that came in for the Hurricane Center. The winds have notched up just a little bit here. They went from 80 to 85, so a little subtle change there. We're seeing some strengthening happen. The other thing that I want to point out, and a lot of times we don't make a huge deal out of this, but the pressure has dropped down to 983 millibars, so a 7 millibar pressure drop. So as the pressure drops, usually the wind speeds go up. And so we've got a strengthening hurricane right now. West-northwest movement hasn't changed at all. That's 17 miles per hour. And if you look at this real close, I think you're looking at an eye starting to form right in there. So would make sense. And I think that by tomorrow morning, if we continue with this trend, we're likely to have a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane on our hands when you wake up in the morning. So everything is going basically according to plan here, according to the forecast. Nothing has really varied much from that. Again, we've got a hurricane that's formed for us right now with an eye and an increasing pressure and a lowering pressure and increasing wind speed. There's a look at what's happening for us by tomorrow afternoon. So around midday tomorrow, we'd expect winds to be about 110. And then by overnight, Wednesday into Thursday, so probably just after midnight, landfall anticipated, still strengthening, could be a Category 3 with 115-mile-per-hour winds. Then the track taking it up through the Mid-South and then curving off into the Ohio Valley and then into the Northeast. But you take a look at their warnings. They're still in place here. Galveston over past Cameron, Louisiana here, going northbound into Lake Charles, Port Arthur, up into Beaumont. Again, that's an area we'd really anticipate high wind speeds and power outages. But with the latest advisory, folks, the wind speeds have ticked up a little bit. 85 miles per hour. Pressure is dropping quickly now, and a strengthening hurricane on our hands.
Make the summer yours with a twist of flavor. Discover the Mediterranean flavors and gentle bubbles of San Pellegrino Essenza. Add a twist of flavor.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life, posing a real threat to your comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning. Your well or sump pump won't work. Your modern daily electronics are rendered useless. And what if the power's out for days or weeks? Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator.
24 days we were without power. I had water, I had ice, I had coffee, I had air conditioner. I was able to stay here because of Generac.
When an outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Generac generators run on your home's existing natural gas or propane. And Generac's standard Mobile Link remote monitoring system keeps you posted on operating status, maintenance updates, and more. Generac generators are designed, engineered, and purpose-built in the USA. Generac is the #1 manufacturer of home standby generators in the world. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
Very good product, very, very good reviews from everybody.
Prices start at just $19.99, and special financing is available with surprisingly affordable monthly payments. Call now to schedule your free in-home assessment with one of Generac's 6,000 nationwide dealers. The call is free, the assessment is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Plus, if you act now, you'll receive a 7-year extended warranty absolutely free. That's a $695 value. Call now, so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to schedule your free in-home assessment today.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
Jake from State Farm. After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
Here's the deal, Parker. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, right. Pepperoni pockets, an atomic brownie, cuckoo crusties.
There's no promo, it's just great rates.
And a cider ranch. You're the man, man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
When it's especially important to keep skin clean, keep reaching for Cetaphil. Recommended by dermatologists. Awarded by Allure. And most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Right now on Weather Underground, we have special extended coverage of Hurricane Laura, and the concern right now increasing for the Gulf Coast as Laura likely to intensify into a major hurricane with extreme wind and water extending well inland. Welcome in. This is Weather Underground. We'll be with you for an extra hour till 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central as we track Laura across the Gulf. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson. We've got Chris Warren bringing us live reports from Houston. He's breaking down Laura's impacts, and Chris Bruin is in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We'll check in with them in just a moment. But right now, a look at what we know. What are the headlines right now with this hurricane? Well, for one, storm surge could stretch up to 30 miles inland with this storm. It's a large one. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards says all of the coast of Louisiana should prepare for storm surge, and there are mandatory evacuations that have been ordered for 5 Louisiana coastal parishes. Mike, we just got the latest advisory in or update from the National Hurricane Center. Still anticipating this storm to strengthen within the next 24 hours before it makes landfall late tomorrow. And you've pointed out an overnight landfall just always adds an extra dangerous element, because now we're talking about that push of water in the dark.
It's scary. It really is. An extra push of water, a lot of wind at night, and you're hunkered down. You're hearing all kinds of things around you breaking, and it can just be really, really terrifying. All right, here's what we know at this hour. 85-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane. The winds have increased just incrementally here through the afternoon. Pressure's dropped to 983 millibars. So what that means is the hurricane is intensifying right now, and correspondingly, we'd expect the wind speeds to go up. West-northwest movement hasn't changed. That's still going 17 miles per hour. And at that current speed, we'd anticipate a landfall sometime very late tomorrow, if not after midnight going into Thursday. Hurricane hunters are out there. They're flying through it right now. The reason that we've got the 85-mile-per-hour wind speed on it now is because of that report right in there. And they're going to constantly fly missions now right up into before landfall here. But you notice where a hurricane is headed. That hasn't varied all that much in the last 24 hours either. Still pretty steady. So no real hiccups here as far as no snafus, no gotchas as far as the forecast track or the intensity at this point. Everything's going smoothly. And so hopefully you're aware of what that forecast is and what it means for you. But intensification going up to 110 miles per hour by tomorrow afternoon, and that will officially meet rapid intensification criteria. But then you notice between Wednesday evening and landfall, this time period right here, there's not a lot of intensification there. Only going up about 5 miles an hour. Likely because we'll be encountering a little bit of wind shear at the later period there, and that may preclude it from really taking off here. But nonetheless, we could have hurricane force winds that go all the way up through the Arklatex here, and then a forecast cone that goes all the way out into the northeast, all the way through the weekend. So there'll be a lot of states that could be affected. Now, again, you're not going to get a hurricane there, just get very breezy conditions. Hurricane warnings remain in effect here. That will include Galveston and Port Arthur, Beaumont, Lake Charles and Cameron, Louisiana, over toward Alexandria here. And then surrounding that, we'll have tropical storm watches and warnings in effect here. And at some point here, I think that this watch will end up going to a warning. It's just a matter of time. It's all a time criteria more than anything else. The Houston metro area, tropical storm warning. Lafayette, Louisiana, tropical storm warning. Grand Isle, Louisiana, a tropical storm warning. However, New Orleans, we are not included in that. Now, we focus a lot on stuff like sea surface temperatures. Are we in an atmosphere that is conducive to strengthening? Yes, very warm sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. And Laura will go over some of those warm waters, anywhere between 85 and 90 degrees. So nothing, at least in that regard, to preclude further strengthening here, Alex. So 3 different things working in favor for strengthening: sea surface temperatures, low wind shear, and also upper level high pressure, helping to evacuate the air out of the top of this thing.
Yeah, so all eyes on this thing, especially for the communities along the Gulf, one of which, Houston, Texas, of course, 3 years ago dealing with Harvey. This is going to be a different beast. Meteorologist Chris Warren there. This isn't going to stall and bring a ton of water, but especially if the track shifts, we could be looking at a lot of wind in the area.
Yeah, a lot of wind in the area, and it can be either major impacts or an inconvenience. We're getting word that Houston Metro is suspending transportation at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, so that would be an inconvenience. That's one side of things. The other side is, you look around Houston, we're in downtown, a lot of trees. You get into the suburbs, a lot more trees, is that power could be out for several days if you end up getting the worst of the worst. So where we are right now, if you look at some of these buildings, like, for example, right here, you see this hotel off in the distance, you're looking at about 20 stories or so, and you get that high up, the wind is just howling, right? When you get these storms coming through, there's nothing really to slow it down. But when you get down closer to the surface, the wind that's blowing has some friction to it. So if you're in a heavily wooded area, I think oftentimes, and if you've been through storms in the past, if you're in a heavily wooded area, it can be near new construction, that there is some trees down because maybe some trees were removed, and some trees that didn't get the full force of winds can come down. What I'm trying to say here is there's a lot of variables when it comes to how storms are going to interact with the terrain and interact with people's homes from any given year and any given storm. And of course, this year, like no other, preparing in a pandemic. Earlier, the Weather Channel spoke with Houston's Mayor, Sylvester Turner, about the unique challenges of preparing with COVID.
COVID is fueled by people coming together. So when it comes to our shelters, we are having to redesign things differently. Instead of having like during Hurricane Harvey, we had 10,000 people at the convention center. We can't have that anymore. So we're having a number of different shelters to make sure that people are socially distanced. We're checking people's temperature, going through all the COVID-19 protocols. We're encouraging people to get tested, like today. In fact, this will be the last day for testing. We'll suspend testing for Wednesday and Thursday, but it's different. We'll utilize hotels more shelters, because it's not about putting people so close together, but making sure people still stay spread apart while keeping them safe.
And he mentioned the convention center, which is actually where we are standing right now, and it is really quiet here. It is another warm but pleasant evening here in Houston. Families out for a stroll, people working out in the parks, couples taking a long stroll around as well. So it's pretty quiet, but Alex, tomorrow is going to be a big change, a shock to the system. It's just a matter, are we talking tropical storm force winds, which are expected, or possibly still hurricane force winds here?
Yeah, going to be so important. You know, we talk about nowcasting and looking at those last-second movements with these storms. That was something Ken Graham was talking to us about earlier. You know, you look for the little wobbles in that storm's path as it makes its way closer to landfall. Galveston, of course, one of the areas watching this closely because depending on what side of Galveston the center of a storm passes would determine how much in the way of effects that we'd be looking at. Surge is something that I'm super concerned about because, you know, we talk about power outages. And in a lot of cases, this is something that's inconvenient. It can be dangerous given that we'll lose the air conditioning. But what is the most often deadly part of the storm? It's the storm surge, that water impact. And by Thursday morning, with a major hurricane making its way on shore, we anticipate a big push of water, especially when we talk about how large in size Laura is. This is not Marco. Marco was a small storm, so that push of wind will be over a much greater area. So that's why we've got the storm surge warnings posted. Now, when we look at some of these numbers, they're worrisome, to say the least. Areas south of Cameron or south of Lake Charles, around Cameron to the southwest of Lafayette, that's where we could see 9 to 13 feet of storm surge. So that's getting into the second story of people's homes. Same for areas south of Lafayette. How about 7 to 11 feet of storm surge? On the eastern part of the Texas coastline, 6 to 9 feet of storm surge. So all of these storm surge values get you into that devastating and deadly category. So that's why it's so important. If officials have told you to go, get out. Galveston, I mentioned where the center tracks makes all the difference. Well, if the center of the storm tracks to the north of Galveston, we'll have offshore winds. So that means lower storm surge values. On the other hand, if the center of the storm is tracking to the south side of Galveston, then we have that onshore push of wind, and then we have higher storm surge values for the Galveston area. Mike, there's a lot to look at when we look at, you know, this last 24 to 36 hours before landfall and during landfall, but we anticipate that surge could be really problematic for many.
Very problematic and potentially life-threatening, as you mentioned. The other big factor we're watching here are the winds. How intense will those winds be? Potentially greater than 100 miles per hour. You take a look at the area where we're forecasting 110 plus. That's in purple here. Those are the areas where we have the hurricane watch in effect. But we could also see 60 plus mile per hour winds go all the way up into Arkansas, and those winds will be strong enough to potentially knock out power, take some limbs off of some trees, potentially knock down some power lines. There's a look at the forecasted wind field. In yellow, the tropical storm force winds, which could be as high as 73 miles per hour. And the red disc, that's where the hurricane force winds will likely be. So a very hard hit here in a Port Arthur and a Beaumont, a Cameron and a Lake Charles, and that extending right up the Sabine River here toward Jasper. Could even briefly see in a small pocket some hurricane force wind gusts around Shreveport and maybe even touching Arkansas. There's a look at that wind speed forecast, and you're now starting to see a well-formed eye wall with really intense winds on the north and the east side of the system. Maybe some exposure down here to the southwest, but overall we think it's going to be a very powerful hit here, especially in the current forecast track into Louisiana with a right front quadrant hit there. But with a wind field that may be expanding here, we're going to anticipate some power outages. So here's a look at your power outage forecast just finished for you. Widespread power outages highlighted in purple here. Lake Charles, Beaumont, and Port Arthur. And then in the red area, very likely to see power outages. That now includes Shreveport and Texarkana. So now we're talking a few 100,000 people that potentially could have their power knocked out, and then extending all the way up to Little Rock and Memphis as well. To just depend how much strength this thing, first of all, how strong does it get all the way through landfall? Then how much strength does it maintain through that landfall? So those are all key things we don't exactly know just yet, but if you look at where this thing is going and how intense it could be, I'd be prepared for lengthy power outages, especially considering there are two forests right in here, the Davy Crockett National Forest and the Sabine National Forest. What that means is trees will be knocked down left and right here. Chris Bruin, you look at that forecast, and I look where you are in Lake Charles. The message has got to be save yourself from the storm surge and be prepared to go a very long time without power because of Laura.
And we know power is going to be an issue, but that storm surge threat, especially in Louisiana, is so vulnerable. People think storm surge, within a 2 or 3 miles at the coast, but in Louisiana, it's very different. When you look at I-10, I-10's about, in some cases, 30 to 40 miles away from the actual Gulf of Mexico. And we may have water inundation at times all the way up towards I-10 because you have all of these low-lying areas. It's really not a solid landmass south of I-10. It's a lot of swamplands and bayous and just marshland. So it's really water, and all of that gets raised given the tides. And when you get that push of water from the ocean, from a hurricane, that all comes inland. So it goes up these bayous and floods even low-lying areas not right on the coast. So when you look at Lake Charles, we're under a mandatory evacuation for that concern, that threat of 9 to 13-foot storm surge. Calcasieu Parish is, a populated county here in southwestern Louisiana. It's the city center for this part of the region, and we're talking over 200,000 people. So are 200,000 people going to evacuate because of that mandatory evacuation? Essentially, the wording here is a mandatory evacuation means you need to leave if you feel threatened or if you've had a history of being threatened, if you feel scared, because in a situation where you may run into an emergency, even a health issue, given it's coronavirus too, we're dealing with that whole threat along with Hurricane Laura moving in. If there were to be an emergency during the storm, emergency crews won't be able to reach you until the weather improves. So that's the situation when you talk about a mandatory evacuation and a voluntary evacuation. It's knowing what you're getting yourself into. So not everybody of all of Calcasieu Parish, Alex, is going to be, hitting the roads and leaving. It's those low-lying areas, the vulnerable spots, and anybody who feels like, okay, I don't want to ride this storm out, we're heading away, because if there were to be a health issue or some sort of emergency, even non-related to the storm, law enforcement and emergency crews will not be able to get to you until the weather improves. And that could take days, especially given down trees, power lines, and water-covered roads.
Yeah, that's a great point. Unfortunately, if you're told to evacuate, you choose to stay, you're able to do so, but have to do it at your own risk and assume that they might not be able to come help you if you need it at the moment. Flash flooding will be a concern, and it's not just along the coast, but this is a threat that will extend inland as well. Likelihood for flash flooding tomorrow into early Thursday for portions of eastern Texas, west central, southwest Louisiana. But then we get you into Thursday and early Friday, and now we shift it farther to the north. So now we're looking at communities like Little Rock, Arkansas, that could see some flash flooding, some significant flash flooding, with some of these areas anticipated to see 3 to 5+ inches of rainfall. Flood alerts are currently posted along portions of western Louisiana, East Texas, and up into the southwest part of the state of Arkansas. Take a look at these rainfall total forecasts. We expect a lot of rain with these systems as they make their way onshore, but look at how far north that area of 5 to 8 inches extends. That's that orange shade. That extends well into northern Louisiana, northeast corner there of Texas, and up into the state of Arkansas. So that's why we're so concerned about that possibility of flash flooding. And as we watch this heavy rain roll in overnight, Wednesday into Thursday. Gosh, look at Thursday at lunchtime, an absolute soaker in Shreveport. That heavy rain by early Friday morning making its way into the Little Rock metro area, and severe weather also a concern. We talk about severe weather and tornadoes accompanying these landfalling tropical systems. Got to watch a lot of Louisiana into our Wednesday. Well, coming up, our live coverage of Hurricane Laura continues. We're going to go in depth on the latest timing and potential impacts for your area, as well as expert analysis you can only get here.
We know to wash our hands. Here's a reminder from Cetaphil to wash your face, too. Dermatologist recommended Cetaphil washes away germs in 20 seconds and leaves skin moisturized and healthy. Show your sensitive skin some love with Cetaphil.
Microban 24. Watch as Microban 24 kills 99.9% of bacteria, and then, even after multiple touches, keeps killing bacteria for 24 hours. I trust Microban 24 to keep killing bacteria for 24 hours.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles, made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese, and ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything. Like pizza, your coworker's lunch, whatever this is. Astronaut food.
And astronauts?
Everything. Yum. It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
Tums versus mozzarella stick.
When heartburn hits, fight back fast with Tums Chewy Bites. Beat heartburn fast. Tums Chewy Bites.
So Dish lets you share your TV on multiple devices. Why?
Forgot something.
Thank you. Because we know it's a little less scary leaving home when you can take a little bit of it with you.
Dish, tuned in to you.
When was the last time you really looked out the window? What do you see? The awakening of the rising sun, or light dancing across the mountaintops? Look for a moment longer and you'll see beauties all around us. Like a painting, moving in the wind, speaking to the soul. The world flashing past, still yet to explore. Look out the window. The summer of Jeep is here.
Or get 0% financing for 72 months, plus no monthly payments for 90 days on select 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee models.
Look at that scuffed up wall. I'm staring at you. Embarrassing you in front of your in-laws. Spreading rumors about you at work. That wall is your Everest, but not anymore. Today, let's paint. That wall never knew what hit it. Today, let's paint. Fair, exclusively at the Home.
Have you taken a body blow at work? If so, it's good to know that the lawyers at Pasternak Tilker are in your corner, ready to get you back in the ring. Whether you have a workers' compensation claim, a COVID-19 claim, or a Social Security disability claim, Pasternak Tilker, Ziegler, Walsh, Stanton, and Romano will always fight for you. Call them today at 1-800-222-WISH. That's 1-800-222-WISH.
Guys come in all shapes and sizes. There is no normal for everyone, but there is a normal for you. If, like thousands of other guys, you find that your normal isn't so normal anymore, it could be an addressable medical condition called Peyronie's disease, or PD. A curve with a bump that bothers you isn't normal and should be checked out by a urologist, because you don't have to accept this as your new normal. Find a urologist at learnaboutpd.com.
Unbelievable, this is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 77 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 69. Winds north-northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Wednesday, generally sunny despite a few afternoon clouds. High 82. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy, low 72. Winds west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Hurricane season doesn't stop for a pandemic, and neither do we.
Be ready for impacts well beyond the center of the hurricane.
Don't let COVID-19 take your eye off the tropics. This year's threat is more complex and dangerous than ever before.
Remain vigilant, pay close attention to the Weather Channel.
No one can cover this historic hurricane season better than the Weather Channel. Get the information you need to stay safe every day. Storm safety in a pandemic, all season long, right here on the Weather Channel.
Hey, Molly, you ready to roll out? Yeah, you don't care. You have your donut. I know, but Davos, y'all are scared. Moxie, you're just happy to be here. Leia, you're just happy to be here. Trees, don't go to sleep on our house. House, you be safe and be here when we come back. All right, here we go.
I love this, right? She's like got everybody's personality. She's like, you don't really care. You're scared. You dogs, you're just happy to be here. She is doing the right thing, though, not leaving any animals behind as she follows those mandatory evacuation orders that were issued for her area. And, you know, it's something we always remind you, bring your pets along. But I know so many of you are like me. You'd say, I never would leave my pets behind. Well, I've been hearing from so many more state officials saying that their shelter is set up to accept pets. So if you've got your 4-legged family, I get it. You're not leaving home without them. Find out about those local shelters so that you can be in a safe spot with your family members. Well, the Weather Channel's Dave Malkoff, he was in Beaumont. He was meeting up with some residents there who are prepping to leave that city ahead of the storm.
The mass evacuation of Beaumont, Texas is underway, an area that has already been recently devastated by Harvey, then Imelda. These folks aren't taking any chances. They're coming here to Westbrook High School so they can get a wristband. They get put into the computer system, wait a few minutes, and then sent on their way.
They say mandatory, time to go.
But I'm from Louisiana. I've sat through many hurricanes, but this time, new place, can't swim.
Well, the biggest concern about being in a shelter with a lot of people is just the kids getting sick. So, I mean, as long as they maintaining the social distance part and everything, and the hygiene, clean hygiene, I think we'll be okay.
You'll see a red X on every other row here on the charter bus, leaving it half full for social distancing. Every time a bus fills up, they head over to San Antonio, and then when the shelters fill up there, they head on to Austin. In the short period of time we have been here, they've already filled up 3 buses. In Beaumont, Texas, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
Glad to see that people are getting out of harm's way. We look at the timing for some different cities along the coast. You're watching thinking, all right, when is it going to get the worst where I am? Well, for starters, Beaumont, Texas, you'll see the winds begin to increase tomorrow afternoon. Now, the time frame for the 50-plus mile-per-hour gusts, those strongest winds, that potential for power outage or falling trees, Wednesday evening into early Thursday. So, unfortunately, it is going to be an overnight issue. I know that kind of makes it extra scary, you know, when you're out there in the dark. So, if you are staying home, you're staying in that interior safe spot. If you're near the coast, though, want to get out because storm surge could really be an issue. A rainfall forecast 5 to 8 inches. So we're watching for the possibility of rainfall-induced flooding as well. So along the coast, of course, we've got the storm surge, but other areas like Beaumont could be getting in on some heavy rain-induced flooding. Wind gust forecast. Take a look at how things will shape up. We get you into tomorrow morning already picking up around Galveston, but by the afternoon, that's when those winds really begin to ramp up. Houston, 30 to 35 mile-per-hour gusts. Beaumont and Galveston up to 40-mile-an-hour gusts. Now we make our way into the overnight, and this is when the storm moves closer and makes landfall. Galveston, gusts to 60 miles an hour, 50-mile-per-hour gusts in Beaumont, ramping up by early Thursday morning to 100-mile-per-hour plus gusts in Beaumont. So Beaumont to Liberty right now looks to be the core of the strongest winds. Of course, that could change. We're watching that forecast track very, very carefully because, Mike, you know, usually when we see those most intense winds with the storm, they are very close to the center. So have to watch that track of the center. You know, we talked to the National Hurricane Center Director Ken Graham, he said, with these storms, you can get these little wobbles of, 10 miles this way, 10 miles that way, and that will offer up the strongest core of the wind.
Just something to keep an eye on. There's no question about that. And how intense does it become and how big does it become? Rapid intensification is something we've been talking about. What's the trend of late? What's the symmetry of the thunderstorms, you ask? What about the weak wind shear ahead of it? Is there deep, warm water? Yes, a lot of the boxes are being checked because of this. Rapid intensification is 35-mile-per-hour wind increase in 24 hours. It's difficult to forecast, though. The models don't do a great job of picking up on it. It's hard to see without 100% coverage with airplanes out there. You can see the trend, though. It's upwards all the way through landfall here. And you look at the factors. We have upper level high pressure. That helps evacuate the storm from the top as the air comes in at the bottom, out at the top. Just keeps sustaining itself. Wind shear. There's not much out there. There's some near Texas. That may be a factor right toward landfall, but not between now and then. Then you have very warm sea surface temperatures. That's just fuel for the fire, so to speak, here, and it's going to go right through that. Not to mention, it's really done a good job of fending off the dry air today, now becoming more of a closed system. We're getting some dry air that was wrapping around from the northeast, but that's no longer a factor. And I want to show you something very interesting on the infrared satellite. Some thunderstorms are now popping with lightning in them, and there's something very subtle I want to point out here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back up this satellite 2 hours, or a couple of hours. Let's go 2 hours. Let's go 5 o'clock, right about there. See the thunderstorms with the lightning right there? Watch what happens when I kind of play this in slow motion and step it ahead. See how they wrapped around? They went from here to here in a course of about 2 hours, which means now thunderstorms are wrapping around the system, not just popping here and there. We've got a strengthening hurricane right now.
For bathroom odors that linger, try Febreze Small Spaces. Just press firmly and it continuously eliminates odors in the air and on soft surfaces for 45 days.
So Dish lets you share your TV on multiple devices. Why?
Forgot something.
Because we know it's a little less scary leaving home when you can take a little bit of it with you.
Dish, tuned in to you.
Every day is sweet when we're serving you Blizzard treats, like M&M's, cookie dough, and new Oreo fudge brownie. Thanks for being our fans for all these years. DQ, happy tastes good.
DiGiorno has 7 delicious crusts, and your family food critics will rave. Rising Crust is fresh baked deliciousness. Stuffed Crust is literally mouth-watering. There's a 5-star pizza for everyone in your family to love. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Age is just a number, and mine's unlisted.
Try Boost High Protein with 20 grams of protein for muscle health versus only 16 grams in Ensure High Protein. And now enjoy Boost High Protein in new Cafe Mocha flavor.
On the road again.
Book 2 separate qualifying stays and earn a free night. The open road is open again, and wherever you're headed, Choice Hotels is there. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
When it's especially important to keep skin clean, keep reaching for Cetaphil. Recommended by dermatologists. Awarded by Allure. And most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Find your keys. Find your get up and go. Find pants that aren't sweats. Find your friends. Find your sense of wonder. Find the world is new again. At Chevy, we'd like to take you there. Now, during the Chevy Open Road Sales Event, get up to 15% of MSRP cash back on select 2020 models. That's over $5,700 cash back on this Equinox. It's time to find new roads again.
Hey, can I go?
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Safe driver, save 40%. Guys.
Check it out. Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%. That's Safe Driver Save 40%.
It is. That's Safe Driver Save 40%.
It's right there.
It's him. He's here.
He's right here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey. That's totally him. That's right. That's totally the guy.
Safe drivers do save 40%. Click or call for a quote today.
How do you make a Pinot Noir taste like no other? Start with grapes from 3 California regions. Push flavor in new directions. And put a bear on the label. Made like no other for a taste like no other. Mayomi. Flavor forward.
When you've got auto glass damage, Safe Flight can come to you.
And you'll get a text when we're on our way. Just leave your keys on the dash, and we'll replace your windshield with safe, no-contact service.
Schedule at safelight.com.
Safe Flight Repair, Safe Flight Replace.
The most important thing our citizens in this storm's path can do right now is pay attention to their local elected officials, and when asked to leave, to take those safety measures to evacuate. We want to evacuate. We do not want to have to rescue.
Because it is so large, we're going to be in for a life-threatening surge.
This is going to be more of a wind event.
Hurricane Laura now poised to strike the U.S. as a major hurricane. Time to prepare for landfall. It's running out. Thanks for joining us for our special extended coverage. I'm Alex Wilson here with Mike Bettis.
We think, Alex, that, landfall is going to happen a little more than 24 hours from now. And so now is the time, right? We're tracking every angle of the forecast for you tonight. Glad you could be with us. But if you can't watch us, or maybe you're like, you know what? I could listen maybe, or I'm evacuating. If you've got the SiriusXM app, we are streaming our coverage, so you can listen to it on digital channel 721 through noontime Eastern on Thursday. Here to keep you safe, regardless of whether you're home watching TV or if you're on the road.
Yes, there's a lot of ways to get the coverage and expert analysis you can only get here. Well, what we know right now is that Texas Governor Abbott is waiving Houston area tolls ahead of Hurricane Laura. Motiva, the nation's largest crude oil refinery, it temporarily shut down today. Now, you may remember this refinery was shut down for 2 weeks with Hurricane Harvey because of the extreme rainfall. All nursing homes and assisted living centers in Galveston, they're evacuating to San Antonio. So getting some of the more vulnerable folks out of the path of the storm. And Mike, it's a good thing because we're pretty certain of the forecast, but there can always be some, last second changes. And there's still time for this to intensify even beyond what our forecast is.
I think about all these things that we have to do in hurricanes to begin with, and then you think about all the other things we have to do now because of the pandemic and our vulnerable populations right now. It's just a really, really tough hurricane season. All right, let's give you the latest. 85-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane right now. The thing that to me that was most noticeable about the most recent advisory was the pressure drop. It dropped 7 millibars over the course of 3 hours. So we've got an intensifying hurricane right now. We've got a lot of thunderstorms that are now wrapping around the center of it as well. We have a couple flights that are in progress right now, including a high-level flight. We've got a low-level flight. So we're getting some good data right now. That data is going to tell us what it's doing currently. It's also going to give us an opportunity to sample the atmosphere around it, and that data goes into the forecast model, so each and every bit of information is vital. Hurricane hunters are in there right now. They took off from Lakeland, Florida, doing what's known as the X or the alpha pattern through the hurricane right now. They've had winds that have been close to hurricane strength in the last 2 hours or so. I think why we got the 85-mile-per-hour uptick is because they had sampled that wind prior to what you see on the screen there. But that alpha pattern that they're flying goes through the center, samples 2 different quadrants here. It turns and flies with the wind, then flies back through the center and samples 2 other quadrants. And I got to tell you, these pilots are top notch. They know exactly what they're doing, and you have to when you're flying through hurricanes for a living, right? But here's the deal. These are the areas in purple on your map here. Numerous counties and parishes in Louisiana, we have hurricane warnings in effect here. And if we can keep that core of winds pretty tight, I think this will be it for it. I don't know if we'll necessarily expand those warnings much. We may up here to the north here just because it's a timing thing more than anything else, not because that the hurricane's getting bigger or anything like that. But storm surge warnings from Galveston to Grand Island, unfortunately, in some places could peak at 13 feet of storm surge here, Alex. Incredible.
Yeah, it could be a big push of water. Falling water, of course, an issue with this storm as well. Flash flooding will be a possibility. Our Chris Warren is in Houston, Texas. Now, Chris, a lot of people always ask, is this going to be like Harvey? And the good thing is this one's moving. So we're not looking at a storm that'll stall and bring prolonged rain, but it could bring its own effects to Houston.
Yeah, it could either be an inconvenience or it could be a really big deal. Regardless, though, life goes on. In fact, with that, want to go over here to this couple who's been out enjoying the day. And Christian and Desiree. Christian wants to make this a special day ahead of the storm. And we have a proposal. And it seems like I think it went well. So at a time now when there's all sorts of, things in the world, life goes on, and it looks like we have a newly engaged couple.
Yes, we do.
All right, Christian and Desiree, congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Be safe, and thank you so much. And best of luck to you and your life together in the future.
And I hope everybody's safe for the storms, and thank y'all.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
All right, again, we are in Houston, and we do have a newly engaged couple, Alex. So again, life does go on ahead of the storm as we prepare for Laura.
Congratulations to them. Very exciting.
I didn't order a pizza.
I know. But that Parker promo saved me so much on my insurance. Brought you a little something special.
Parker, State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
You're the man, man.
And you want the real deal? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
On the road again. Book 2 separate qualifying stays and earn a free night. The open road is open again. And wherever you're headed, Choice Hotels is there. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
You did this and this for less with store-wide Labor Day savings and free delivery. The Home Depot is making do it even more affordable. So the only question now is what could you do next? The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
When it's especially important to keep skin clean, keep reaching for Cetaphil. Recommended by dermatologists. Awarded by Allure. And most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Little choices make a big difference. Like delicious fruits and veggies. However you're healthy. Naked.
When you've got auto glass damage, Safe Flight can come to you.
And you'll get a text when we're on our way. Just leave your keys on the dash, and we'll replace your windshield with safe, no-contact service.
Schedule at safelight.com.
Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
Do you love Reese's? Do you love Reese's Pieces? Well, have we got a deal for you? We're making Reese's with pieces. Sort of like a buy one, get one free inside the thing you just got. Not sorry, Reese's.
This Labor Day, crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of a long weekend. Make the most of your Labor Day by picking up Budweiser today.
I'm Greg. I'm 68 years old. I do motivational speaking in addition to the substitute teaching. I honestly feel that that's my calling, to give back to younger people. I think most adults will start realizing that they don't recall things as quickly as they used to, or they don't remember things as vividly as they once did. I've been taking Prevagen for about 3 years now. People say to me periodically, man, you got a memory like an elephant. It's really, really helped me tremendously.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
For bathroom odors that linger, try Febreze Small Spaces. Just press firmly and it continuously eliminates odors in the air and on soft surfaces for 45 days.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles. Made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese. And ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
Welcome back, everyone, as we follow Hurricane Laura for you tonight. We want to give you an indication of what to expect and when to expect it. So let's go city by city here and break it down for you. For a place like Lake Charles, which is in the center of the cone right now, 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts will begin as early as Wednesday evening, 60-plus by Thursday overnight. And then there'll be periods of significantly higher winds if the center comes right into into Lake Charles. They could gust over 100 miles an hour. Rainfall forecast is pretty intense as well. We could have as much as 8 inches of rain, and we think that flash flooding is almost a certainty for us here. All right, so Lake Charles sitting right here on I-10. Even some of the guidance suggesting we could get even more than that 5 to 8. There's some spots in there where 9 inches, not out of the question, but you see where the track of heaviest rain goes. That's where the flooding also goes. There's a look at the wind gust forecast. We're going to fast forward through this forecast again this evening. Not a bad night at all. You're still working on your preparations. Tonight's a great night for you. Even tomorrow morning, I think, is okay, but you'd want to finish everything by breakfast time tomorrow. By middle of the day tomorrow, Lake Charles, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. Same for us in Lafayette here and over toward Beaumont, 35 to 40 mile per hour winds. And those winds will only get higher as the day goes on. Here we are, 60 to 75 mile per hour winds here Thursday overnight in Lake Charles. Also could be gusting over hurricane force in Beaumont, more than enough to knock out power. And those winds, the core of them, really intense, getting up toward Lufkin. Wind gusts here could be hurricane strength, and then going right up basically the Sabine River here, and then potentially over into Arkansas as well. But even on the backside, look at this. Winds will change direction. They'll come out of the southeast, but Lake Charles, middle of the day on Thursday, still has some pretty high winds, 40 to 50 miles per hour. So let's bring in our Chris Bruin. He's in Lake Charles, Louisiana for us right now. We're going to get a really hard punch with this, Chris, when that comes in late tomorrow. But again, as people may want to recover on Thursday as the surge comes back down, the winds could still be 40 to 50 miles an hour, which may, really hinder the recovery process for some, at least delay it.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Thankfully, a quick-moving system, but still, those lingering effects, it's still going to be tropical storm force for much of the day on Thursday. All right, so let's talk about timing and where we go from here. I want to show you Interstate 10. Beautiful sunset tonight. That's 3 for 3 here in Louisiana, by the way. And tropical, pre-tropical storms and hurricanes always make for just vivid sunsets and beautiful colors. Still fairly tranquil night, so great for people traveling. You're looking at Interstate 10. That's the high bridge that goes over the Calcasieu River. That's actually direct access there, about 30 to 40 miles down to the Gulf of Mexico. And the problem is the water's going to come up. So the rest of tonight's going to be fairly quiet. In fact, I don't think we're going to see much in the way of rainfall, but we will watch those showers start to come in, I think, after lunchtime tomorrow. Rainfall will be an issue, and from people we've talked to, they say Lake Charles floods in some typical thunderstorms that you get in your everyday summertime pattern. So we know we're going to have some ponding, flooding for sure. We're going to have those surge issues, and we're going to have the winds. The winds, I think, are going to be a huge factor along with the surge, and that's something we're going to be watching for. Of course, that forecast, I think by the late afternoon, early evening, we're going to get those tropical storm force gusts. They'll become more sustained after dark, and then the worst of the weather, hurricane force winds, likely overnight into early on Thursday morning. So that's the timing, Alex, and something we've got to watch very closely. Thankfully, this will not be a Harvey, so we're not going to see this thing sit here. It's going to get out of here fairly quickly, but that means it's going to pack a punch when it does.
Absolutely. Chris, we talk about how water can be one of the deadliest and most underestimated threat of tropical systems. Right now, we got 250,000 people plus living along the Gulf Coast that are at risk for storm surge from Hurricane Laura. We've got that storm surge warning from areas around Galveston over towards Grand Isle. And by the way, storm surge watches for portions of Mississippi. Storm specialist Carl Parker shows us why even a few feet of storm surge can be incredibly dangerous.
Laura is expected to be a major hurricane, and along with it, we are going to be looking at life-threatening storm surge flooding. In Louisiana, there's a lot of low-lying territory, a lot of marshland, and that's going to allow that surge to penetrate well inland, 20, 30, maybe 40 miles or more in some areas. And let's take a look at Lake Charles, Louisiana, home to 78,000 people. Look at all of that flooding. You're talking about 3 to 6 to 9 feet of flooding all across that region. That is going to be huge if it happens just like that. Even well to the north, up the Calcasieu River, we could be looking at storm surge flooding 40 to 50 miles away from the Gulf of Mexico. So what does that look like on the ground? You get into 3 feet of storm surge flooding, you can forget about driving out. It's not going to happen. It will float your car at that level. And also there could be toxic chemicals in the water. We've seen that in this region before. You get to 6 feet of storm surge flooding and suddenly objects are floating around, crashing into other things. There's structural damage. It's incredibly dangerous. It's life-threatening. The only way to survive this would be to get to the second level of a home. And then what about 9 feet of storm surge flooding? This is in the forecast. Look at this. Look at that. There is no way you could survive that level of flooding. So when local officials tell you you've got to get out, you have to evacuate, you've got to get out.
All right, so let's switch gears now and talk a little bit more about what's going on in the West, because this is another very big story that's happening for us right now. The fires here, the CZU complex, is burning basically out of control. This is what's left in Santa Cruz after that complex was started by lightning. I mean, everything just literally burned to the ground. By the way, 2 of the 3 largest wildfires in California history are happening right now. The SCU lightning complex and the LNU lightning complex, only surpassed by the Mendocino complex fire back in 2018 that charted over 450,000 acres. But you look at the active fires that are burning for us right now, more than 100 of them, total acreage 1.9 million acres. Every state in the West has a wildfire right now, and air quality as a result of the smoke has gone downhill for us here. Numerous air quality alerts, especially in the metropolitan areas, Fresno, Bakersfield in particular, Phoenix, Albuquerque, and Denver. Well, still to come, our live coverage of Hurricane Laura continues. We go in depth on the latest timing, potential impacts with expert analysis you can only find right here on the Weather Channel.
Okay, everyone, our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and nutrients to support immune health.
At Philadelphia, we know what makes the perfect smear of cream cheese. You need only the freshest milk and cream. That one. And the world's best, and possibly only, Chamelier. Philadelphia. Schmear perfection.
Tums versus mozzarella stick. When heartburn hits, fight back fast with Tums Chewy Bites. Beat heartburn fast. Tums Chewy Bites.
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning. Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You did this and this for less with store-wide Labor Day savings and free delivery. The Home Depot is making do it even more affordable. So the only question now is what could you do next? The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Brushing only reaches 25% of your mouth. Listerine cleans virtually 100%, helping to prevent gum disease and bad breath. Never settle for 25%. Always go for 100. Bring out the bold.
Jumbo Snacks! Jumbo Tiger Paw Jumbo Crunch! Jumbo Fruit Loops Jumbo Flavor! Unleash never before seen Jumbo Snacks! Jumbo fun anytime! It's Jumbo! It's for snacking! It's Jumbo Snacks!
This Labor Day, crack open a Budweiser and experience the refreshing taste of a long weekend. Make the most of your Labor Day by picking up Budweiser today.
With Spectrum Mobile, what you see is what you get. That means no added taxes or fees. Get an unlimited data plan for just $45 a month per line. That includes unlimited talk and text, too. You can save up to 40% on your mobile bill, and there are no contracts. Experience the fastest overall speeds and the most reliable mobile service coast to coast with Spectrum Mobile. Now the fastest growing mobile provider in the nation. Learn more at spectrummobile.com.
Hey, Luke, wake up. You fell asleep again.
Why do I always fall asleep on the bus after school? Why am I so tired?
That's what we always wondered. But then he was diagnosed with narcolepsy, so he was more than tired. Narcolepsy can affect anyone, children and adults. We waited too long to take action, but you don't have to. Visit morethantired.com now. Learn about the 5 symptoms of narcolepsy, take the narcolepsy symptom screener, and find a sleep specialist. Don't wait. Visit morethantired.com today.
It's unbelievable. This is real.
When your cameras roll, our experts react.
Jaw-dropping.
An all-new season of Weather Gone Viral, Sunday night on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 77 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 69. Winds north-northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Wednesday, generally sunny despite a few afternoon clouds. High 82. Winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy, low 72. Winds west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Well, tonight, Louisiana and Texas on a high alert with Hurricane Laura gaining strength right now in the Gulf of Mexico. Winds sustained at 85 miles per hour and plenty of convection or thunderstorms now forming around the center of circulation. But we're roughly 24 plus hours away from a landfall along the Gulf Coast.
And earlier, we spoke with Texas Governor Greg Abbott to see how his state is preparing while also dealing with a pandemic.
I'm concerned about any area of Texas that could be hit in the population base, whether it be Beaumont, Port Arthur, or Houston. Obviously, Houston is more densely populated. One concern would be if the hurricane were to hit Galveston head on and head up the ship channel, that could lead to a massive rise of water that could threaten a whole lot of regions. And so we're on high alert to make sure that we will be able to save lives.
Yeah, huge metro area, not to mention if the storm moves closer to Houston, we're talking about a much bigger wind effect as well. Meteorologist Chris Warren is live in Houston, where I guess people are out and about getting one last day of walking around and even proposals.
Yes, that's right. We did see Christian and Desiree get proposed, or get engaged, I should say. Christian proposing to Desiree. She said yes. And the thing here is life goes on. And people are out the day before and now the night before. Laura, which we know a lot more now than we did yesterday about the storm, with tropical storm warnings in place, expecting tropical storm conditions here in Houston and Harris County. But whether or not by tomorrow we're saying, hey, now it looks like it could be hurricane force winds, because that's still a possibility with just a little movement in the track. And one thing I remember years and years ago, the first time I flew into Texas, I was a kid, and I remember flying in, and you know, Texas, big state, right? But in your mind, you know, you're from the Pacific Northwest, and I think of Texas of, you know, the desert and cactus and armadillos, that kind of a thing. But I remember flying into Houston and going, wow, this is green about as far as the eye can see. There's a lot of trees. And we know that the big threat here for Houston, I think the calling card, depending on the track and whatever the track, is going to be the wind. Is it going to be really, really strong winds in Houston? Or is it going to be winds that a few branches come down? The strong winds, we're talking maybe a lot of trees coming down, possibly damage to homes. I mean, that's really what we're dealing with here. Mike, we're looking at Houston, unfortunately, still in that we really don't 100% know how bad it's going to be. It doesn't look like we're getting off scot-free here in Houston, but the fact that if the storm moves a little bit farther is, you know, a little bit farther to the west, it could get worse. But Mike, what do you think the actual realistic possibilities of that happening?
You're putting me on the spot. That's a tough one to answer, Chris, because listen, they're right on the edge of the cone.
You just answered it. It's hard.
You can't. You
right?
can't answer, because think about this.
And
a third of the time, a hurricane makes landfall outside of the cone. So there's a 33% chance that could happen, you know?
And I think it's also tough because it's on the left side of the cone, right? So the gradient, the very, very bad weather to the manageable weather is a much shorter distance. right? Yeah. Where you have that, the whole right push, the momentum of the storm with the strong winds of the storm and all of that moisture that tends to be on the other side. True. You feel much more confident that it's going to be harder for parts of Louisiana to get out of it as it is for parts of Texas to get in or out of it.
Yeah, very good point here. Although I would say that the things I'd be, the benefit to a place like Houston is if it's going to be rolling away from us and moving, the flood threat won't be as extreme, which is good. But I would be a little bit concerned if we keep with the center of the cone. I'd be a little bit concerned about some places getting some bayside flooding, some surge flooding here, Chris. I'd be worried maybe about a Galveston with the water coming from the bayside. I'd be worried about a Texas city and maybe a League city as well. So just a couple of things to keep in mind there, even with say a northeast wind coming in there or a north wind coming in there.
And another point I want to make sure we remind everybody about, I'm in Houston. We're right on the edge. But then you go all the way over to East Texas. And you go, the tropical storm warnings are several counties inland. Hurricane warnings are several counties inland. This storm's going to go north. I've got family in Shreveport, worried about trees coming down there, right? So it's not just going to, end once it comes on shore. And of course, that's what we're going to have to talk about a lot between now and Thursday morning, because there's huge potential here for some very, very serious damage in Louisiana and in parts of Texas from the wind and the surge. But this story, Mike, is going to continue for days, although it's going to move on in a hurry. It's several counties and then several states inland will be impacted by this.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point about the trees there, too. And we've talked about it so many times in the spring and the summer with trees, unfortunately, having dire consequences falling on people. So if you live in a wooded lot, I'd stay off the second floor for the entirety of this event, beyond the first floor, even the basement, because trees coming down can be so dangerous. And do not drive. Don't get in your car and decide to drive because you could be driving into some sort of danger down trees. So all things to consider coming our way. Chris, appreciate your coverage tonight and good discussion there. But ultimately, Alex, what we're dealing with is an intensifying hurricane that will only be at its peak, likely at landfall.
Absolutely. And we've got continuing coverage for you all night long. Hurricane expert Dr. Rick Knabb is up next with storm specialist Mark Elliott and meteorologist Colleen Coyle. And of course, our crews are scattered all along the Gulf Coast to bring you the very latest as Laura edges closer.